I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?
Peace, family. Oh, it's so nice to be here tonight, Thursday, with, I tell you, this, I'm always smiling extra when Professor James Small is in the house. So this is going to be great. We're about to have a really good conversation with Professor James Small and New York State Assemblyman Charles Barron. So first, let me just say thank you, Atlanta. Okay, Atlanta, you guys, we had a great time. Let's first just talk about the panel. Okay, so on this panel, we had Dr. Chika Akua. He was the host, and he is a wonderful host. We were actually on the radio the day before, WAOK in Atlanta, and the usual host had fell under the weather, so he couldn't host the show. So he called his good friend Dr. Chika Akua to take his place, and we were like, okay, that's nice. So he called us. He said, hey, listen, you guys want to come on and chat, with the audience for a little while and let them know about the HAPi premiere that will be happening the next day. Let me tell you, I know that Dr. Chika Akua is a esteemed scholar, written gobs of books. He is he's the one that came up with the reading program for our kids, but he is one hell of a host. I tell you, he's a good radio personality. He was seamless. And so we were on the airways in Atlanta on Friday night, and then Saturday we hit the stage at the Epicenter in Riverside Epicenter. And it was fabulous. Atlanta, you guys do not play around. You guys were extra early, which is, we love that. So I just want to give a big old shout out. And I also want to give a shout out because there's people who we see every day, all day on our social media. And so this is nice because we get a chance to see them in person. One is Lori L.J. Johnson. I see she's in the chat right now. I was just like, oh my God. And she looks just like her Facebook page. Like the pictures on her Facebook page. What's up, Black women? I tell you. So it was really nice seeing her, seeing everybody. And so the panel, first of all, we had some celebrities just kind of came through. We had King Simon, Numerovation, God came through, because he lives down in the Atlanta area now, and he just wanted to come by and check us out. So peace to King Simon. So nice to see him. Dr. Boyce Watkins just wandered in. His wife was sort of like on the panel, but still, it's really cool that we had a chance to see him. He is also one of our executive producers of HAPi. So it was always nice to just kind of chat with him. On this panel, so we had Dr. Chika Akua hosting it. Then we also had Dr. Alicia Watkins. She's like the couple therapist. She's awesome. She is like how we see her on social media is how she is in real life. She was in the house with her cousin Jessica. So props up to the little Watkins. You guys held it down. And then we also had Shar Bates of Alter Candy. Now, I don't know if you guys know about Alter Candy. It might just be a little hidden secret if you're in Atlanta area. But you guys have to get down with Alter Candy. So you got to go to this sister's Instagram, which is Shar Bates, and it's also Shar Bates on Facebook as well. And ask her, how do you sign up and get on her newsletter? Because she was awesome. She was on the panel, as well as Taki, our HAPi creator, the director and producer of HAPi. We also had Blue Pill came through. So that was a really nice panel. Then after the panel, you think we were done? Oh no, Atlanta. We had Dr. David Anderson. He gave this special presentation about finances, which was good. He gave us a strategy because, we talk every day, all day about a whole bunch of different things, but he gave us a specific strategy for financial wealth. So, I have to just say, shout out, thank you to Atlanta. You guys showed up and showed out. I tell you, each city is getting better and better. So now we are headed to Houston, Texas. Now, let me tell you about Houston. We are so excited because today, actually a couple hours ago, we inked this deal. So we were initially going to be just screening the film on Sunday, January 9th at 5:30 in Houston. Now we have teamed up with the Shrine of the Black Madonna, okay, and they will be hosting us for that screening. But that's one thing. But the cool thing is, so that's happening on Sunday. On Saturday, we have Dr. Wade Nobles and we have Professor James Small, each giving an independent lecture. Okay, this is going to be fire if you guys are in the Houston area. So we have a whole new name for Houston now. It's HAPi Restoration of Consciousness. That's the weekend. That's the theme. That's what's going to be going down if you are in Houston. So I'm telling you now, you can go to our Eventbrite page and get your tickets. The lecture, the special lecture is going to be, we don't have a lot of seats for that. Okay. So if you don't get your ticket now, you may not be able to see that part, but you will be able to see, the screening that will happen on Sunday. And after the screening on Sunday, we are also going to have a panel discussion. So, Dr. Wade Nobles, Professor James Small, they'll be back for the panel, but they will also be joined by Tachycardia, the HAPi creator, and Asar Imhotep, who is also in the film, HAPi, and Dr. Vera Nobles. See, y'all don't know nothing about Dr. Vera Nobles, but trust me, you can get a little taste. And if you are coming with us to Kemet, you can get a big old taste of Dr. Vera Nobles. She's bad. Like Dr. Wade Nobles is bad, but she bad. So I'm telling you guys right now, if you are in the Houston area, go and get your tickets. Go to Eventbrite and just type in HAPi. And it will come up. You can either just get your screening ticket on Sunday, or you can get your screening ticket and get a ticket for the lectures that will be on Saturday. Next. Now, in fact, I think I'm just going to bring in Professor James Small, because he can help me actually with all of this stuff. But before I bring him in, I just want to say a shout out to everybody that's up in the chat. I see Rashamella, Rob Moses, Julia Rudder, Lyle. These are like our Jurassics in the house. All right, Jurassic. We're Enoch. We need to see Enoch up in here. Enoch Hankerson. If y'all don't know about Enoch Hankerson, you need to go to Facebook and get one of his timelines. I see William Raheem Smallwood is in the house. Lori, hey Atlanta. Kent, Leo is in if I can talk. Leo is in Houston, so we will be seeing Leo. And I see Ready, Set, Build Expressions. Now this is Sanette B. Now let me tell you about Sanette B. Sanette B does all of those memes that you guys are liking on Wednesdays and on Saturdays with her breaking down the language, the Meduneture. It is all Ready, Set, Build Expressions. It's Sanette B. She ain't no joke. She be up in the house. All right, okay, you guys are getting a little Cash App popping early. All right, I see you out there. Let me see. I want to thank. I got to figure out who I need to thank for that that Cash App. Thank you. You guys are like saying what I'm getting ready to say before I can say it. But thank you. And I see Crease, Compassion and Mercy, and M. Jewel, Michelle, like she's like a veteran. She's been on Happy Talks, and she's always in the house representing. So I wanted to say a special peace out to you. And Donnell Peoples. All right, Donnell, thank you so much. Thank you. And all of Mecca and our boy Dennis Boatwright. Dennis is just part of the HAPi family like Jewel, I tell you, because he travels everywhere and hangs out with us. We've seen him countless times. What's up to Dennis and his beautiful family, his 4 kids, and George. So peace out to y'all. All right, I am getting ready to bring in Professor James Small. What's up? No, not what's up. How are you doing this evening, Professor?
I'm very good, Sister Felicia.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
to the HAPi family, peace and blessings.
Yeah, peace and blessings. You know, every time I say that when we leave at night, I'm always like, okay, I'm going to take the words from Professor James Small, peace and blessings. I always take that from you. It's so nice to see you.
It's nice to see you. And I'm glad that Atlanta went well.
Yes.
And Houston is going to be even more fantastic because my big brother, Dr. Wade Nobles, and Sister Vera Nobles. And like you said, people know a little about Wade, but they know nothing about the goddess spirit leader of the both of us. And that's Vera.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. One of the most extraordinary African priestess you will ever meet that you don't know about.
Yes, I know. And, you know, and just the way that Dr. Wade Nobles talks about her, you know, and I love all of Dr. Wade's kids. That Zetha, she's just delicious to me. I love her. So it's going to be a very nice, nice.
He likes to say about Vera and him that we belong to one another.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
I tell you.
Because he said that, but that's what marriage is that you belong to one another.
Yes. Yes. You know, you elders got some good, you guys got some good little language. You guys need to write a little, like some little book to help us, to help the new generation, because that language.
The message to the new generation is revering us. That's nice. We love to feel revered, but listen to what we say. And do what we've told you to do, and read what we've written for you. Those are the instructions from your elders and ancestors. If you do that, you will be free. Because all that Dr. Clark have done, Dr. Ben, Malcolm X, Dr. King, they have said freedom is being shackled to your identity, and here's what you got to do to achieve that. So don't just talk about how great this one is and this one is the master teacher and yada, 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 because that don't mean shit at the end of the day. Do what we told you we've learned to be the best thing for you to do. Those books that Amos Wilson wrote, those are your instructions. All of them. You know?
Yeah.
Stolen Legacy, that's your instructions. All of them. Leonard Jeffries' tapes and lectures and his writing, those are your instructions. We're telling you how to build the African world you say you want to see. Listen to us, and then take the best of what we've told you, because some of it may not be useful here or there. So take the best of what we've told you and do your job. I didn't come to do your job. I came to do mine. Having done mine, now you do yours, using pieces of me to get that done.
Yes. You know, which actually brings me to our next topic that I just wanted to share with, well, it's two more things I want to say before we get started. But one thing is family, you know, we have to, you know, I was thinking about this when, you know, every time I get onto social media, we see our elders, interviews from like the past, we see current interviews, we see all these things. And, you know, we're able to kind of sit and we're able to take that in, right? Which is nice. And it's just like what Professor Small is saying, and, you know, is that we need to listen to what they're saying and actually do it. But the other pieces of that is that, you know, all of these elders that we see all the time, they've actually, you know, had to pay a price for where they are, right? And sometimes when you're talking the truth to, you know, and trying to really free your people, you will cut out or cut off other means of ways of like money sources, because, you know, it's not profitable for big business to deal with people who are trying to free us, right? And so we need to, you know, be extra grateful And I know that everyone, at least I know everybody that watches HAPi Talks is grateful. Okay, I don't know about the other people on the other platforms, but I know that you guys are very grateful, for all the people that we bring on, because you guys send us emails. We see you on the street. You're just like, oh, yo, I saw this interview. And we really appreciate that. But we need for you guys to appreciate them. Okay. And so, when we bring elders on, you guys need to buy their books. Okay. Whatever they selling, buy it. And not just buy one, buy 5. And if you can do it. And this is not, I am not trying to get in anybody's little purse, anybody's pocketbook or nothing. But what I am saying is that freedom comes with a price, right? And, these are offerings. This, Professor Small, he would do this if we didn't give him no money at all. If we give him all the money in the world, it wouldn't change the message that he's going to deliver to us, because he's clear about his purpose here on life. In life, right? But we need to be extra grateful. And if we have it, we need to swing it their way, because they put a lot of their lives on the line for us. Okay. And not, because I can't go into anybody's business, because some of these stories and some of the stories we'll never know, because it's just that deep, so we have to trust and be happy that we have elders here now that we can still get this information from, who are, still teaching us. Okay. So right there, everybody needs to be dropping Dr. James Small some little dough. Okay. That's some little dough.
I like that.
I know. Look, I'm trying,
Felicia, we only have so much time. Let's get down to business now.
Yes, but wait, I gotta hone this in, Professor Small, because I need people to understand, because you're about to drop jewels. We're gonna have jewels lighten up this chat in a minute, right? Everybody will be dropping little jewels. So you guys, oh wait, I took it off. I'm sorry, right there. Okay. All right. Now that I'm off my soapbox, off the HAPi soapbox, let's get started, Professor. So this whole restoration of African sacred sciences, before we even get to it, let's just, I like to always define some terms, because there are some new people who I haven't seen in the chat. And so can you just tell us, what are African sacred sciences?
Years ago, I coined a term, and I hear others using it, and it's good, because nothing belongs to you. No wisdom belongs to you. And I had an angel to come about 2 weeks ago to remind me of that, because I've been down. I had this whole knee replacement thing. 3 months, I'm out of everything. I'm not speaking, right? First, longest space in my life, I wasn't lecturing publicly. And so I was like, when I saw the medical bill, 160 grand, I go, oh my God. Of course, I've got good insurance, right? They took care of 90% of that, 95% of that. But the thought of people who wouldn't have the insurance that I have, thanks to my wife's job. And I started saying, I'm going to have to tell people, I'm not speaking anywhere unless you give me some money, pay me. Because most of my lectures, I don't ask for anything, right? And 2 nights later, the most beautiful, black as blue skinned angel came and was sitting on my bed. And I laid back in the bed, and she laid back, and she says, we did not give you the wisdom for you. We gave you the wisdom for you to give to the children. And don't ever forget that. That's how quickly they can respond when your mind make the wrong response, right? And I'm not playing. That's real. Most people don't know much about me, but I've had 3 death experience out of my body, and I've seen the other side. Some people say, like my grandmama says, I look in the face of God and I tell God I'm going to cross over Jordan. I look in the face of God and say, God, I don't want to cross over Jordan. And so they said, like, okay, if you do what we want you to do, you can be here with your children. So I'm doing what they want me to do,
Yes.
So when we talk about African sacred science, let's try to make it simple and plain, because I don't like the term, and I coined the term African sacred science. It was Swela de Lubeck, a European writing on Egypt, that coined the term sacred science. But I presented this to my friend, Dr. Patricia Newton, as the title of a series we were about to do. And we were only able to get one of them done before she went to the ancestors. I said we should no longer use spirituality in that loose way because people are using it just like they use religion. Spirituality is not a religion. It's not another religion. What we're calling spirituality is an explanation and an involvement with understanding of African sacred science. African sacred science is the laws of the universe and the laws of cosmology and ecology, to the degree which our ancestors were able to grasp, understand, and discern them. And then they made them into symbols for you. Hieroglyph are symbols that was made up out of things in the environment to tell stories, to tell lessons about how the environment worked to an illiterate population. People were not literate then. They didn't read or write. But the wisdom in the minds of the spirit leaders says you cannot build a civilization unless you bring literate your population. So now you have to create a writing system that will allow the illiterate to be literate. And that's what hieroglyph is. It's not the language for the priests and the kings. It is the language that the priests and the kings created for the masses, so the masses wouldn't be below them, but on par with them. You see, today we do just the opposite with our universities.
That's, yeah.
So when we're talking about African sacred science, we're talking about the laws of the universe. We're talking about the laws of the human heart. Let me tell you a little story and then I'll come back to the definition. About 10 years ago, I'd been doing a lot of stuff in Africa and here, back and forth, spending a month with my wife. I'll be back next week and she'll back 2 months later because I'm trying to make this hotel work. Me and Brother Rod. And I got so stressed out, I went to my doctor and she didn't like my heart rhythm. So she sent me to this cardiologist and I'm in the office and the guy did this stress test and all of these things and I did them all. And I always carry a book with me. So I'm sitting there reading, waiting for him to tell me everything is fine. Now you can go. And he wasn't telling me. So I said, excuse me, doctor, I got another meeting. He said, you got another meeting? I got the EMS coming because you're having a heart attack. So I go, what are you talking about? I said, stop playing. And in the door busts 2 teams of EMS. And he says, get on the gurney. I told him, no, you better get on that damn phone and call my wife. Here's the number. Call my wife right now. And he called Carol, and I saw him move the phone because Carol must have went off. And then he handed me the phone later, and Carol said, James, get on the gurney, and the kids will meet you at the hospital. And so I was having a heart attack. And they called it, it was called Vtec, Ventricular Tachycardia. I'd never heard of it. It's when your heart starts beating too fast and you can't stop it. And you can't be resuscitated except through electrical shock. Otherwise, you're done. It's over. So I go to the hospital and they put me through 10,000 tests and find nothing. I had 4 imaging exams that night, found nothing. They brought about 8 or 9 doctors together and about 20 nurses and some other people and took me in a room and says, are you willing to get on a treadmill and let us see if we can recreate the heart attack? We will try our best to save you with no guarantees. I was saying, y'all out of your mind. But I said, you know what? I need to know. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. And I got on that treadmill and did twice as what I did before, and the heart attack never came. So I had to listen to those powers that was telling me what I was doing wrong. When you go to ancient Kemet and you see the scales of Ma'at, what is on the scales of Ma'at? Your heart, right? And a feather. And your heart has to be lighter than the feather. But what I learned medically after suffering that heart attack, and I started studying, you know, my wife, she's in the medical profession. And so she helped me with a lot of literature. Your heart records everything you say, do, feel, think, or imagine. It makes an imprint on your heart. That's why the ancestors wore it against the feather of truth. Your heart records every what happened to me, every 10 beat, I get in between the 10th and the beats are all spaced apart, evenly apart. But between my 10th beat and my 11th beat is another full beat, but it's stuck in between. It cuts the space in half. All right. And so the doctor started making a joke. You listen to too many of these darn African drums when you're over in Ghana all the time, And so you got this crazy rhythm that we've never seen before. But what I realized, I found out what it was. Every trauma that I've ever experienced, and I've experienced quite a few, is recorded by my heart, along with everything else I've done. Truth, lie, honesty, dishonesty, joy, sadness. All of this is recorded in the nerve construction of your heart. We think of it in the mind, but it's the heart. And I go, that now it all makes sense why we put such emphasis on the heart in ancient Kemet. They knew scientifically, medically, that the heart records everything. And once I learned, and I think I spoke to you about this before, to manage the memories of the trauma, I was able to reduce the effects of the trauma on my heart.
Okay, say it one more time. No, because people know we need to hear that.
Once I learned to manage in my thoughts the effects of the trauma, I reduced the effects of the trauma on my heart. Okay, because there was a couple of times people tried to take me out of here. The end of it. Imagine being in, anybody from LA would know what I'm talking about, being in the 77th precinct in Orange County, LA, 1970, behind a gas station down the road with LA white cracker finest putting a 38 to your head and said, nigga, sign that arrest warrant saying you had $1 million worth of heroin and 2 stolen guns from the Oakland Armory, or we're going to leave your brain splattered all over here. And this is like 2 a.m. in the morning after that whipped your butt beyond you're able to stand.
Yeah, I can't
But your heart, records all of that. I wasn't Superman. I was scared as hell. I knew that was it. It was a wrap. And if it wasn't for the feds coming in at that instant and stopping it, because they were fearing more danger with my and Sister Ella Malcolm's sister's death than us living. But the damage was done. And my heart recorded it. And it begins to cause the problem. Or the time being forced into the swamp with a 45 at the back of your head by a white man in a Marine uniform when you're a black sailor in a Navy uniform. And he had no respect for that. You were just a nigger that he put out in the Francis Marion swamp in the middle of the night. And your body records that in your heart. Those are the traumas that skip the beats. So I went there to tell you something. When we talk about sacred science, stop making spirituality spookality. Spirituality is your reality. Spirituality is not spookality, not something scary or mysterious. It is your reality. Okay. It is who you are and what you live and how you feel and how you think and what you do and what you say and how things people around you do and say impact you. That's what spirituality really is all about. Cosmology and ecology. We all deal with what do you call it? Astrology. And we love astrology. We just astrology ourselves right out of the book. We got some good astrologists. Some of them are real good. Some of them plain. My baby's coming to say good night. So say hi. This is my Nasir.
Oh, what's up, Nasir?
All right, so take care. Where your sister? You almost finished?
No, she finished.
Okay.
You see these stories right here. This is why. I mean, you just so cavalier just talk about, these things that happen to you, like in LA and all these places.
Yeah, because it's real. No, maybe some people who weren't in the movement as deep as I was don't have such dramatic trauma. But trauma is trauma, and it builds up in our system. But all trauma is recorded by the heart. See? Alzheimer's recorded by the heart. And I was talking about astrology. People love astrology. Well, what's your sign? What's your color? What day? What's your rising? They don't have a clue what they're dealing with. Most of them. Astrology was the master teachers and the priests. Methodology for teaching astronomy to an illiterate mass. Let me do it again. Yeah. Those who had this time to study the universe, watch the stars and the constellations and the moon and the suns and the da-da-da-da-da, over 10 years, over 20 years, over 25,000 years. Those great scientists and priests we call astronomers create astrology to teach the wisdom they garnered from astronomy to the masses. Not to play games with, but who you're going to fall in love with on Monday. You know, it's deeper than that. You see? That's why you got to understand spirituality is your reality. It's not something mystical. It's not something you got to go dig and hide. Look in that mirror in your birthday suit and face yourself and have a conversation with reality. There's my princess. Come on, baby. Oh, that was me. She just had her hair done. The sister working on her for hours. All right, baby.
I know how to feel, sister.
And then this is their mother. This is my little angel girl. This is Miss Naja.
How you doing?
Nice. Tell Miles hello. The one thing I learned from studying African sacred science is that family is the foundation of civilization. But even deeper than that, family is the image of God itself. That's why we created Asar, Aset, and Harut. There was nobody named Asar, and nobody named Aset, and nobody named Harut. Those are symbolic of the family. The family is the symbol of God, not a man, not a woman, not a child. The white man with his stupid self got it all wrong. It is the family itself that is the symbol of God. Okay? Or the divine. So when we talk about African sacred science, we look at something like geometry. Well, when we decided, when HAPi, because we're talking about HAPi all the time, everything is about HAPi, 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 this beautiful river. And I like to tell people how this river started. It didn't start as a big river. It started as a little tributary coming out of Lake Nyanza, that they call Lake Victoria, coming out of some of the rivers in Congo, Malawi, and it's making its way down. Okay? And then it comes out of the mountains of Ethiopia as the Blue Nile from the Isfet Falls. And if you see the Isfet Fall, it's so beautiful, all that water and the smoke coming. But you can actually walk in the little drainage ditch that makes up that falls for miles as they all come together to come to this rushing flow. And then it gets to Ethiopia, to the White Nile, and out of Mount Rwenzori, as well as the drainage of Mount Kilimanjaro in Kenya. People don't realize we got snow-capped mountains in Africa, where you go skiing in the morning and come and have a picnic at the bottom of the mountain in the afternoon. And that HAPi river swells and becomes this extraordinary phenomena the world called the Nile, and we know as HAPi. It's made up of just like the Black community. If it's done right, it should be made up of the small pieces coming together in Pan-Africanism, but around the right principles, concepts, and ideas. Those principles, concepts, and ideas is what we call sacred science. That's the body of knowledge that our ancestors garnered and learned about the cosmology or the cosmos. So when you see a calendar today, we say, oh, that's the white man calendar. No, it's not. That's your calendar. He changed only a few things in your calendar, a few days shift and a few hours shift. 99% of that calendar is African. And just look at a calendar. The day records the movement of the sun. The month records the movement of the moon. And the year records the movement of the constellation and stars. That's what it is. Cosmology, sacred science. They note that when the star is here, the moon is here, the sun is here, the human being and the plants and animal behave in this way. And when it gets here, they behave in this way. When you watch that repetitiveness often enough, you can then record it as your sacred science. And in order to study the entire movement of the cosmology that we, the cosmos, we can see, it takes 25,000 years twice in order to make a calendar. 25,000 years twice. Because once you see it happen, then you got to watch it again to see if the same thing happens the same way again. And then you go right on. So we didn't just start this thing yesterday.
Yeah.
That's why a book like reading Dr. Ben, people look and say, oh, his grammar isn't that good. Oh, he drew the pictures. The man was a God walking among you, teaching you about the memory that you left behind when you had this new birth. That's what ancestors do. Everybody that's living today have always lived, just got new bodies. When I lose this one, I will live. You saw them standing here with me? I'm already alive. That little boy is me. That's my grandson. He's me. Mama is me. That his little big sister is me. I'm eternal. And I got 22 others. Eternal me's.
Eternal me's.
When I gave birth to them, I gave birth to their mommy, I gave birth to myself. When she gave birth to them, she gave birth to herself and myself, and my mothers, and my grandparents, and my great parents. So when you understand African sacred science, just that looks tells you, you are your ancestors. They're not some dead bones in the ground. That's just the minerals that made up the house that they once lived in, that you once lived in. You are they having a new experience. What your history do is give you your memory back.
Yeah.
Not just your greater history, but your very family history. We should all get serious about the family tree, not just to trace our name, but to remember the sayings of the elders that you were before you became this young person you are today. African sacred science, people. That's what the devil don't want you to know, because he can't control you if you understand this. He can't scare you if you understand this. And you can defeat him overnight.
So Mr. Barron is in the backstage. Yeah, I'm going to ask you something else about this. I said I was just announcing that Mr. Barron has joined us. We're going to be with you.
Hi, Brother Barron.
Yeah, we'll be with you in about 5 minutes, Mr. Barron. But I want to,
the greatest politician, black or white, in this country, one of the most unproclaimed, him and his wife.
Absolutely.
Political leader and builder in the black community across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the money was selling the Black Panther paper back in the day. But that's my brother. That's my little brother. And he has accomplished so much, him and his queen, that is just astounding. And I was telling the sister earlier, we need to acclaim them more because the world needs to know about them because they have become a part of African sacred science. They've set models and examples on how to rebuild a black community, how to build institutions in a black community, and how to hold power on behalf of a black community without becoming collaborators and traitors. And they should be modeled to be emulated. Let me just do this last piece on sacred science. When you see The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci, you see a man, white man, with a light coming out of his head called a halo. Well, that's Ra, that's the sun. And on the side of him, you see 4 groups of 3s, right? That's the 4 seasons, 3 months in each season. And then around the whole table is 12. That's the 12 months circumventing the sun each year. It was nothing but a solar drama being explained through using anthropomorphism as art to teach European about African sacred science, because they couldn't read at that time either. So that's why it's studying. Know your history. It will erase the devil's mystery.
Oh, you changed it.
I can use that any old way I want to.
I know.
I got that one from Dr. Nobles, you know.
Yeah, if you change, knowing your history, you erase the white man's mystery.
Absolutely.
But then you had added something else too with it. So you know what? I had this question, and then I was looking in the chat, and a couple other people had this question when you were talking about how all trauma is recorded in your heart, and you said that you had to work on your mind to alleviate that trauma. So what, how did you do that?
Because what I was doing was recalling those traumas unconsciously in my heart. I started recalling them consciously and going over every step of them, and realized I defeated them. They didn't defeat me. I survived it. There was one incident when I was in high school. I got a lot of these incidents. I don't know how the gods have decided to leave my black butt here, but they've decided.
No, I don't know if I could take this.
And I lived in the country on a plantation 5 miles out of town and 2 miles away from the highway. And I had to cross 2 rivers to get home. So we would hike a ride, and somebody would give us a ride. They'd drop us side the road, and we'd walk. This night I played football, but a few weeks before I'd gotten hurt really bad, and my grandmother was very upset, and she knew this was the homecoming game, so she was just on edge. So I didn't stay to the dance that night. I said, I'm going home so Mama can see I'm not hurt. And when I get to the bridge, there's 2 young men there. They were about 15. I just about to turn 18, and the 2 boys told me that some whites had seen them coming out of the theater and called them niggers. My dog, Blackie, you a bunch of niggers. So I had, in those days, you live in the country down south, I had a 2-shot Derringer with 2 bullets, which was my 16th birthday gift from Mama. And I had a hunting knife, and I had a straight razor wrapped in a handkerchief. So I gave one of the kids the straight razor, I gave one the hunting knife, I kept the Derringer, told them to go in the other corner, I stayed in this corner, and whoever get a ride first, tell the person that I'm coming, and I would tell them you're coming. And so the car came back around. There was a place called the Whistling Pig, one of these burger places that sold beer where all the young white people would gather at night, hundreds of them. We couldn't go there. And so this car drove by, and the boys pointed, that's the car. And the guy swung the lead pipe out the window to hit me. Well, I caught the pipe, right? And I threw the pipe back at the car. I didn't mean to hit them. I'm not stupid. There's 100 crackers at the drive-in, right? And the guy hit the brake, and the pipe went through the back windshield. Blang, lang, 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 lang. I knew it was on then, right? So while I'm trying to adjust and try to figure this out, the 2 boys get a ride and leave me and don't tell the people I'm there in trouble. And I stopped to help them. And even when they went home, they never told anybody James is in trouble. Somebody should go back to Georgetown. They left me to die, poor kids. And I wouldn't see them until years later, until they were adults. And I saw one of them, and he was still traumatized. He wouldn't even let me talk about it. Wouldn't talk about it. But at any rate, by the time I gathered myself, the white boys had cut me off from the town, and I had to run down this highway. And I'm running, and I know the white man who runs the bridge house that opens the bridge. He was my grandfather's associate. So I said, I can get to Mr. Harvey's house. Something in my brain says, Mr. Harvey is white. Like, no. It just like say, no, he's white too. So I ran into the marsh. They were building a new bridge thing. So there was this soft, muddy road, and they couldn't come in there with their car. So I ran in the marsh as far as I can go. I mean, on the way to the marsh, they hit me in my head. I got hit with a shovel, bat, but I'm running because I got to live. I wasn't going to die. And I get in the marsh, and I go as far back. Let me tell you what really pissed me off, though. I just got to tell you this. Mama had just bought me a new coat.
I can't.
If those who was old enough, no, you got to hear it. It was a corduroy jacket with the little knit collars and the little sheepskin thing around the edge of the sleeve and stuff. I was sharp that night. I mean, I was looking good. You know what it is for a country boy to get a jacket like that? And my mama had to save up money to do that. And so I get into the marsh, and the mud is all over my jacket. I go in as far as I can go, and they calling me all kinds of words. Then they fired 2 shots. And so that's when I got down in the mud and started crawling. And I took the jacket off. It was cold because it's October. And I took the jacket off, and I just used the jacket like a blanket to bury myself down in the mud. And then I fire 1 shot because I only had 2 bullets, right? So I fired 1. That was enough because they know this Negro got a gun. And they were coming in that marsh. They fired a few more, and then they sat around drinking beer, talking all night. And I stayed up in that marsh about a quarter mile away from them. When morning came, my coach was only 2 blocks away. I made it behind Mr. Woody Dewey's gas station, and I was the fastest thing on the football team. I mean, I was outrunning Bob Johnson in those days. And so I started running. But when I hit Coach's yard, I was going too fast. I couldn't stop. And these white boys was behind me, about 5 or 6 of them. And I went zipping to Coach's yard. Then I remember my uncle's house is 2 blocks away. So I made it to Uncle's house, jumped the fence, just ran into the door, arms up, and knocked it, fell in the living room floor. See, Uncle and them were bootleggers. So they were selling that bootleg and they gambling. And when I hit that floor, the shotguns and the rifles came, and the white boys is coming through the front door. And they realized this is a black house, and they got guns. And those crackers turned around and started boogieing. But that period between when they started chasing me down the road and hit me by the head with the shovel and the bat and bottles that thrown from the window as the car zipping past me, that was the most scariest moment of my life. And I feel that right here in my heart. So once I learned to walk myself through it, instead of just letting it pop up when something else traumatized me or scared me, then just have that be stimulated as a drama issue, I started going there and walking myself through the episode. And that way I can realize when I was running, yes, I was afraid. But when I was making those decisions, I was making those decisions to live. Not to go to Mr. Harvey's house, to go in that marsh, to bury myself in the mud, to fire that 1 shot and to keep 1 shot in case I had to kill somebody. You know? To when daylight came, to make that run to the Black community back into Georgetown and try to find help. And so it's like walking yourself back through it and figuring it out. And I realized when I was running that night, as traumatic as it was, I wasn't scared. I was trying to survive. And so the adrenaline moments is what's making the impact. Those adrenaline moments. And I've learned to calm them down. I've never had a heart attack since. And I've been through a lot of stuff. And, you know, old as I am, I'm still going through stuff. I mean,
hopefully you're not running no place.
I learned to tune into me. And in tuning into me and studying history and studying culture, I learned what the ancestors was teaching. They taught us that we are the universe. There's nothing going on in that universe that don't go on in this universe. But to learn this universe, you must master that universe. The thing we call ecology and environment, there's nothing going on in ecology and environment that don't go on in you. Everything that makes up the ecology and environment makes you up. Yeah. You know? Because when you get hungry, you don't go kill another human being and chop it up to eat it to replace those dead cells. You do what? You find some vegetables, some fruits, some animals, some fish, something else out of your ecology to replenish and repair yourself. So you are that ecology that you live in. That's sacred science. And within the concept of that, we learn the healing things. What are the healing things in that ecology when there's an injury to the body? What are the nutritional things in that ecology that the body needs? That's what we call, we didn't have no religion. We had the understanding of cosmology and ecology, and that's our sacred science and our relationship to it and its relationship to us. And so that's what the people who lived alone, the HAPi, and profited from the HAPi, learned. They weren't building temples as churches, a place to go shout and say hallelujah or build something to big yourself up. They were replicating what they were seeing in the cosmology. That's why when you see the 3 pyramids together, those aren't the only 3 pyramid cluster in Egypt, by the way. And that's considered to be Orion's belt, the belt of the constellation Orion in the sky. And only a certain time of year that the dog star, which makes up a part of that constellation, will be able to focus in on that little tiny opening in that pyramid. What they did that for, I don't know, because I can't tell you, I'm not master of all the science, but I do understand that there was a science, and there is a science. So when you see voodoo, Dr. Nobles can really blow you away on the voodoo piece, because he shocked me with his degree of knowledge of it, but I learned and I've been studying voodoo since back in '68 under Hogon Rulax Maryland, who was my first Hogon, and then Alexander Samdi, and the Shrine of the Zantra in Brooklyn. So yeah, I've been down in the deep trying to learn this stuff. So when you see that Veve, that picture that they're drawing, the picture of the things you see in Haiti, that Veve represents our ancestors', how do you say, comprehension of a certain energy cluster.
Yes.
That is manifest for a particular reason. And they were able to draw how that cluster presents itself, and we call it a bebe. It was their understanding of the forces of nature as manifest in the cosmology. We got a real science, people, you know, and it is sacred. It is the science of the universe. It is the science of the ecology. That's what people are calling African religion. And the reason they can't get it right, they need to stop calling it religion. Someone just said, as above, so below. That's precisely what our people was dealing with. And then it breaks down in terms of quality and attributes of the very character that makes up your being as a human. You must learn them. Love isn't sex. We were making love. You weren't making love, you were having sex. Sex is something people who are in love do. But in the sick culture we're in, sex is something people who are not in love do. And that's why there's so much catastrophe at the end of the day in most cases. Mm-hmm. See, to love you, I must first love me. To love me, I must have some understanding of the divine that I am, the divine within me, the God that I am, based on the sacred science knowledge of the ancestors that they left for us in writing, in sculpting, in music, in dancing, in painting. You know, I told you the story once about going to Ghana and wanting to buy a drum, which I heard my little boy, he loves to play drums. And the little girl that you saw, she loved him. I called George in Ghana a few months ago, and he sent a big djembe for her, you know, so she can have her own djembe and play to her heart's content. But I went to buy this drum, and I'm not a drummer at that. I'm not a drummer now. I taught myself the drum. But I remember the rhythm that I heard clap in the church on the plantation where I grew up. I can't remember it right now, but I remember it. And so I started playing it on the drum. It was Juma, because the merchants were Muslims at the craft center in Ghana. And all of a sudden I heard this noise. There's about 20 men running, and they're stopping, and they're picking up bricks and stones and sticks, and they're running towards me. And so the brother who was with me stopped them and said, no, he doesn't mean any harm. He just wants to buy a drum. He wants to buy a drum. And then they started speaking in Tree. The rhythm they were hearing me play was a call for distress. That was the rhythm I heard in the church over and over where I grew up in the country in Georgetown, South Carolina. So we think we've forgotten Africa. We haven't forgotten it. We just need to learn our history, study our ancestry so we can stimulate our memories. Sacred science.
Sacred science. Sacred science.
Dr. Noble's doing a nice piece of memory, which will blow your mind. That's why y'all got to come and hear us down in Houston, because we're going to walk on water and show you why it's possible.
Yep. Family, if you're in the Houston area, make sure you get your ticket. Shout out to Thomas Harden, my brother. I saw him up in the chat. I was like, you doing something if you get my brother up in the chat. So that's what's up.
That's a good thing.
Yep, Tashi. Hello, Kelly. All right, so I want to bring in Mr. Barron, because I know you guys go back.
Don't call him Mr. Barron, call him Brother Barron, the Honorable Brother Charles Barron.
Honorable.
How you doing? I see you with my God. You got my God right behind you.
All right, gotta have my back. Gotta have my back.
Yes, sir.
I almost wanted to do like they do on the Congress floor. I yield back the time to the gentleman who was speaking before me, because I could listen to you all night, my brother.
But
nothing but jewels of wisdom and the attractive way, the African way that you tell the story, and all of the powerful lessons in the story. Almost like every sentence, there's a lesson to be learned. So, my brother, you are powerful, awesome, and I could listen to you all night.
Well, let folks know me and you go back, Charles, and we were
way back.
We both had hair back then.
Look, yeah.
So, let me say something, Felicia. This young man isn't somebody he's been in the movement all of the life that I've known him.
Yeah.
Not a peripheral player, at the center of it. And then he gets elected to the state. Then he gets elected to the city. This is the only revolutionary who have been able to hold office in state and city, and his people elect him. You know why? Because he delivered to Black people in Brooklyn.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And he walked with the greats in the Black United Front. And he walked with, Abubadika Sani Kassim, who's one of our great heroes. And him and his beautiful queen have built housing, have built institutions, have bolstered
affordable housing.
Yes. And you could talk about the things you do, Brother Charles, but I want people to know that there's some people out here who are really real.
That's right.
Really real.
Well, brother, I remember coming up to Harlem selling my Panther papers, and I remember you with Malcolm X's organization, the Organization of African American Unity. And I remember us talking. I said, come on, man, we want to get you down with us and let's work together. And we did some good work together over the many, many years. Dr. J, Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, Ivan Van Sertimer. Remember, we had the lectures at the Timbuktu Learning Center.
Oh, yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Reverend Herbert Daughtry and
yeah.
APCO, the African People's Christian Organization, unwrapping the European contamination of Christianity and then presenting it in its African essence. And we thank God for Dr. Ben for writing books on the African origins of all major religions, but especially Christianity. And right now, Brother James, Inez and I are still with Reverend Daughtry, but we also joined the Shrine of the Black Madonna with Reverend Craig, remember him, and Jeremiah Ajiman. So we are part of that family as well. They got 4,000 acres of land called Beulah Land in Atlanta, in South Carolina. And it is one of the only.
Oh, that's your people. Some people keep telling me about that. Okay.
Yeah, you got to check it. Oh man.
I've been in the shrine and spoken at the shrine in Detroit, and
that's right.
That's one at the one in Houston, and I've spoken at one in Atlanta. And Jaramogi was Malcolm's friend. They were very close.
That's right.
So we really have to talk, because after a year, me and Carol, we're moving back down south. I'm from Georgia.
Oh man, yeah, good.
I'm putting the land question, because we family have a lot of family land there. We're trying to do the foundation now to get things right, so that when this generation is gone, we don't lose it.
Appreciate you, man. Always.
I appreciate you, my brother. You are my political hero. I really have respect for you and your wife and the work that you've done.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then I heard you got a new book. Let's talk about this book.
Yes. Yes, I'm gonna try to bring up the book.
Something like that.
Okay, Speaking Truth to Power.
Right.
And that's what he's done with his entire life.
Kind of a compilation Let me see if I can get the shine out there. You see Malcolm's picture in the background? But it's called Speaking Truth to Power. And it's a compilation of about 88 articles I've written over the decades. And some of them was from 1988 all the way up to 2021. And the first part of it that I wanted our people to get into is our ideology and theology. Because before you get pragmatic,
say it again, Brother Chow.
That's right.
Yeah,
Before
you
you
get
get
stuff down.
pragmatic, you got to have an ideology and a theology to guide you. It's like any movement without ideology or vision is like flying a plane without radar. You won't know where you're landing or where you're going. So it happens to be a lot of motion. So you get a lot of motion going, but there's no guidance to that motion. That's why what you do, Dr. Small, is you guide our action. And because action needs guidance. You know, anybody can say, oh, Black Lives Matter, and you know, let's move, let's protest, let's demonstrate. And we do that. I'm going to demonstrate till I wear out every pair of shoes I have. But it has to be an end game to it. It has to be a vision. And what are you doing this for? So I was able to put this book together. And the first section of the book is straight up revolution and Black radical politics. My wife and I, my queen, Inez Barron, and my African name is Shamari Baruti, which means forceful teacher. And her African name is Kamara Baruti, which means experienced teacher. I got a little force, but she got the real deal, the experience. She's a master teacher like James Small. So we wanted to put it together to let our people know when you get into the electoral arena, you don't let it into you. You get into it as you are. And you cannot be too caught up in pragmatism over your principles.
Absolutely.
I want to win. What's winning? Getting a program? Getting a chairship? What's winning? Being in favor with the president or the governor or the mayor or the speaker? So when we get into the electoral arena, in this book, I'm going to cover the whole area on revolution and what is Black radical politics. You know, radical is simply meaning getting to the root of the problem. We organize around symptoms. You will never be free organizing around symptoms. Police brutality.
Say that again.
You'll never be free organizing around symptoms. You better get some substance and get to the root. Revolution.
I see Brother Manny Williams is on there. What's up, Manny? What's up?
Yeah, so what we're saying in this book is that here's a blueprint. I have how to beat the machine. We beat the machine with little or no money. They had lawyers and told lies on us. They had the media, everything. We beat the powerful Black machine, Democratic Party machine in East New York. Wiped them out. We didn't just win a council seat or an assembly seat. We wiped them out. They don't exist. In every Black and Latina community, there's a Black neo-colonial puppets of the Democratic Party.
Collaborators.
That's right. Collaborating and controlling all the local politics. So while they got you focusing on Trump, got to stop Trump, got to stop Trump, Trump's this, Trump's that. You got neo-colonial sellout Negroes talking about Trump and getting hand claps from the masses because they're talking about Trump. So they say, stop Trump, but you didn't start Biden doing anything for you.
Right.
Because you weren't focused on that. You were focusing on stopping Trump. The electoral arena, period, has its limitations. We're not going to be able to vote our way to freedom.
No.
We can't vote our way to liberation. But I tell you what you can do. You can wipe out the Democratic Party puppets in your area and get some real affordable housing like we've done in our beloved East New York. 16,000 units of real affordable housing. All of this is in the book, how you can do that. How you can step out there and say, African, a revolutionary. And I don't just say this on Happy Talk.
Oh, no, he
I
don't.
don't just say this because my comrade is here. I say it on the floor of the state assembly.
Absolutely. Yes,
on
you
the
do.
floor of the city council.
Yeah.
Professor Smoltz, when they told me that I could not get into the chambers of City Hall after I was elected by my people, unless I put on a shirt and tie. And I told them that I don't wear shirt and ties. And they say, why? Is it a religion? I said, no, I'm African. I'm not European. So I don't wear shirts and ties. They say, well, that's the decorum. I said, well, call the cops. Call the police, because I'm sitting down. and I'm going in there. I was the first man ever in the state assembly to sit on the floor without a shirt and tie.
Wow. I didn't know that one, Charles.
To show you how, and what Dr. Small talks about, the importance of symbols, to show you how important that was, they had a whole meeting of all the security, the speaker, about whether they were going to let me come in with a shirt and tie on or without a shirt and tie. If it was just a little something, why would they make a big deal over it? The media, are they going to see Barron? Is he going to get in? Over a shirt and tie. See, that's how they break your spirit.
Yes, sir.
And then look, you brothers don't wear shirts and ties.
But Brother Charles, you were exercising and practicing African sacred science. You have lived African sacred science.
Right.
And as you were describing your theology and your ideology, that's African sacred science. That's what it is.
Why I have such comfort every time you speak. Every time I hear you speak, and you've spoken for us many times, every time I hear you speak, there's a level of comfort because I know we're coming from the same place. So even when you do those symbolic things,
right?
Say no, like they told me that my seat was going to be in the back when I came into City Hall. So when they called the attendants, they said, Barron. I said, here, they got the Black Panther sitting in the back, but this won't last long. I'm not sitting back here. 2 weeks later, I'm in the second row next to the speaker's side. It took me 10, 15, 20 years to get rid of the statue of Thomas Jefferson.
Yes, sir.
When I
was watching it on the news last night.
A slave-holding pedophile. How dare you? I couldn't concentrate with that thing right there. It was too big. It was too big. Disturbing my spirit. I said, I can't think. And they said, Charles, they ain't getting rid of it. I said, yes, they are. Every year I was there. Then Inez got in there. She started beating up Thomas Jefferson. Now check this out. Inez was term limited out. I ran for her seat and I won. So as I enter the city council, the statue exits. And as I entered Albany, I was slamming Sheldon Silver, the corrupt Sheldon Silver. I was the only one calling them out, and Inez called them out before that. I was the only one that didn't vote for him. And a few months later, he's gone.
Yeah,
then
they're big man.
I took on Cuomo, calling them out while everybody was selling out. I was calling them out. Cuomo's gone, so don't mess with me. Don't mess with me.
African sacred science.
White people.
Yeah, that's African sacred
Brother
science.
Charles, let me say something about African sacred science in people. They can call it voodoo, but the definition of the word voodoo, which is found in the Ewe language in Africa, means the essence of the universe in the being, or the powers of the universe in the being. Okay? We can break it down to the essence of God and man and woman. But it's there and it's real. And when you practice it, it emanates from you. An energy that walks ahead of you and moves things out of your way.
Wow. You know what's so powerful about what you just said? Some people always say, Charles, wow, you're a bad dude, man. How do you do that? Professor Small, I don't even think about it.
I know.
It's a part of my being.
You are it.
I don't, right. You
You
know,
are
like you
it.
say, tell the truth. You got to be the walking, living truth. You don't tell
Absolutely.
it. You're a walking, living truth.
Mm.
So they said, man, don't you get tired of them up there? I said, no, they get tired of me. So if somebody's going to be tired of somebody, I want them to say, oh, here he comes. Oh, man, here goes back. Why you always got to? And I get up because, you know, the good thing about the state assembly, you got 15 minutes to talk. In the city council, you got 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So in the state assembly, if a bill comes up, I got 15 minutes to talk on it, and then I could take another 15 minutes. I literally can talk a half an hour on every bill.
Mm.
But what I always do when I start off, I don't care what the bill is. I start off and saying that, first of all, I want to say that this bill, like they had one on minimum wage, right? So while we're talking about minimum wage, that we live in a racist, parasitic, predatory, colonial capitalist system, and its racism is its ideology, and that system must be radically dismantled. Now, about the living wage, you know, I do this, and I say we offer African communalism. You know, people are talking about socialism like it's something new, but
Right.
the ancestor of communism and socialism is African communalism.
Absolutely.
You know, all of the, when they ask me, are you a socialist? I said, I'm an African communalist. I'm an African socialist. I believe socialism is not with DSA and Bernie Sanders and AOC and all of that. That's straight out of Africa.
Yeah.
Before Marx even existed, there was this brother named Ibn Khaldun in the 14th century in Tunisia. He's the one that was the father of economics. He talked about the surplus value of labor.
Yeah.
400 years before Karl Marx talked
I got his book on my shelf. Ibn
Uh-huh.
is a bad dude.
Who?
Ibn Khaldun. I have his
Right?
book. Yes.
Man, I was reading some of his stuff, and what I learned about him, I was listening to some Kwame Ture tape, Stokely Carmichael, and he mentioned them, and I said, oh, if he's mentioning them, I gotta, you know, check this out. But see, but that has to be brought into this electoral arena. So we need revolutionaries to run, radicals to run. And for people who say, well, I don't want to be a part of the system. You are.
Thank
Listen,
you, brother.
you're inside, Charles. I'm outside. There is no outside.
Absolutely.
All of us are inside here. Do you pay taxes?
Yep.
Who do you work for? You know, where is your bank account?
Listen, that's been the approach I've been taking with sacred science, Charles. Sacred science tells me that my primary objective is to make sure me and my people got food, clothing, shelter, safety.
There you go.
And I can't have that unless I control the economic, politics, and culture where I live.
There you go.
And Malcolm said that's the definition of Black nationalism.
That's right.
And in order to do that, I got to be clear that I got to get land, labor, and resources under my control.
You know what?
That's African.
It is that simple. And you know what? That's why I titled the book "Speaking Truth to Power." By the way, you can get it at Barnes and Noble. Just put in Barnes and Noble, and then put my name, Charles Barron. It'll come up.
But yeah, I'm putting it in the chat. There's a link, family. The link to his book is actually in the chat. If you guys are on any of the platforms, you can just hit the link and it goes right there. The Barnes and Noble link.
Right. Well, you know what's beautiful about what you just said? It's about power. Yeah. Spiritual power, cultural power, social power, economic power, political power.
Let me put it.
What is power? What is power?
Power is the ability to define your reality.
There you go.
So and make everybody accept your definition.
Power.
You know.
See, we live in a colonial capitalist society, and all Black communities are domestic colonies in that colonial capitalist system. So you have to liberate East New York and Harlem. And liberation means you have to control the means of production. You have to control the politics, the economics, the social, cultural, the police. The Black Panther Party, in our first point, we want control over our destiny of our Black community, and we want to control all the institutions that control our lives. Anybody that controls your environment controls whether you live or die.
Absolutely.
And so we are fighting, whether it's outside of the electoral arena, inside of the electoral arena, whether it's through conferences and books and demonstration, it has to be a fight for power.
But let me connect it up again, Charles, to the topic. That, my people, is African sacred science in practice. Okay, that's praxis.
See?
If you listen to Malcolm X well, you remember he didn't say the bullet or the ballot. He said the ballot or the bullet. Somehow people convince us to see it in a flip, but that ain't what he said.
That's right.
You know?
And you know what I like about being in the electoral arena? Power part. Check this out. If Donald Trump came to my beloved East New York and said he wanted to build Trump Towers on Alabama Avenue, and that was city-controlled land, he has to see the Black Panther because the power of the city council determines what's going to be built on city-owned land.
Thank you, my brother.
So I have like 7 people on a zoning committee. So if that property has to be zoned to go up as high as Trump wants it to go, he has to see me. When I talk to the city council members, they're going to say, Brother Barron, there's a project in your district. What saith you? I don't even have to demonstrate. I just said, nope. 7 people said, no, the project is dead.
Let me bring it back to sacred science again, because see, you're so on it. When she told me you were going to be on, I go like, wow, I wonder how we're going to go with this. And then you came with the spirit. Let me show you. Everybody love Marcus Garvey. But they don't know why they love Marcus Garvey.
Right.
Marcus Garvey got invited, but then they disliked Booker Washington. But Booker invited Garvey to bring his program here.
That's right. That's right.
Didn't Booker T. Washington say, we need what you got? So Garvey thought he was going to come and teach at Tuskegee. He said, no, you can't come down here. They'll lynch me and you.
That's right.
You got to go up in the Northeast.
That's right.
But somehow Booker, and I contend he was murdered, died a few months
before Garvey ever met him.
Garvey got here.
Right. And you know what's deep about that, what you're saying? Nobody talks a lot about the spiritual dimensions of the Garvey movement.
No.
A lot of Black nationalists only want to talk about the economic and political part. But he built, alongside Freedom Hall, he built with Bishop McGuire, the African Orthodox Church.
Right. Right next to Abyssinia Baptist churches.
Right next to that, too. That's right. Adam Clayton Powell, Sr. and Jr. sat at Garvey's feet and learned. So Garvey, and he even said, Jesus Christ is the greatest radical the world has ever seen. And he was talking about an African Christ. Reverend Herbert Daughtry said, Jesus Christ, African in origin, revolutionary and redeeming in action. So what they did, when you take the Bible, people say, oh, that's the white man's book. You could read that Bible. Africa is all throughout it. They reinterpreted it. They have a field of study called hermeneutics and exegetical studies. That's the interpretation of scripture. So if I read a scripture that says that Jesus said, if your brethren smites you on your right cheek, give him your other cheek. That's not being nonviolent. That means learn how to forgive. Give them a chance. But Gandhi and King took that and turned it into nonviolence when there was nothing nonviolent about Jesus.
Well, what
Jesus
Malcolm
came,
said,
he said, I come not to bring peace. I come to bring a sword.
yes.
He said, sell your garment, purchase a sword, and follow me.
Well, it shows up on the day in Gethsemane.
Out.
Yeah, when they came for him, what did Peter do? Pull a sword, chop the guy's ears off.
Look,
how are they able to hide that?
That's right.
They get away with it.
It's not like he just picked up that sword that night in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Right.
He was carrying that around all along. And the zealots, the revolutionaries, Jesus was tight with them. So they don't want you to know the
it's deeper
real.
than that, Charles. His son was the leader. Judas Iscariot was the leader of a major zealot organization.
That's right.
But Barabbas, Bar means son of, Rabbas means the Lord.
That's right.
Barabbas, Jesus and Mary Magdalene's son, headed one of the main divisions. And when his son got picked up after that big tearing up of the temple, Mary said, "You better get your ass and get my boy out of there." So he turned himself in and got his son free.
And look, it was interesting when they asked the people, "Who do you want, Jesus or Barabbas?" They said, "Give us Barabbas," because he was a revolutionary.
He was.
But you know, I just love being on with Dr. Small. But my book, we're gonna have a section on ideology, a section on racism and capitalism, and a section on leadership. Because you know, my next book out is going to be Dare to Lead: Leadership Science and Black Radical Politics for the 21st Century. So that's going to be my next one. But in this one, it's like a smorgasbord. I got a little bit of everything. The history of reparations and political prisoners. And I have our organization that really won the seats, the organization in East New York, Operation Power, an acronym for people organizing and working for empowerment and respect. And I have a whole piece on education for liberation. And it's really, it's like a collection of the revolutionary evolvement of my thoughts over the years. And I just let it evolve. I kept some of the old articles in there so people see the growth. But I think it'll be a good read. And the good thing about printing, Dr. Small, a lot of small articles is sometimes if people don't want to read a whole book all the way through, they can pick certain articles, which is 2-3 pages. So you can say, all right, I completed that article. And then we can have some discussion. The other important thing, I believe in leadership science. And one of the things that I have in there, I call the leadership scientific method, the process of turning visions into concrete reality. And 1, you got to have a vision. 2, you got to have a strong belief system in that vision. 3, you must have a plan. 4, you have to have the leader skills to execute the plan. 5, go into action. 6, celebrate your accomplishments. Celebration is like the fuel and motivation for continuing the journey. And the last one, which makes this book so important to me, number 7, institutionalize your idea so that it outlives you. This book is going to be around for 100 years after I'm gone. Those institutions that Dr. Small talked about in East New York, the youth center that we built, $12 million, 3 schools for $80 million each, 16,000 units of housing, 5 parks renovated, 40, one of them named Sonny Carson Park, another one named Sankofa Park, because we took the name of Skank Park, which is a slaveholder, and turned it into Sankofa Park. That's going to be around 100 years after I'm gone. And
I'm going to interrupt you again.
Go ahead.
Dr. Ben implored us to do exactly what you said, and he called it deifying your history. Deifying your history.
Yeah, you know what?
If you look at other people's celebration, look and see what they are. They're historical markers that they're deifying.
Yes.
A group just had one the other day. I forgot to rush somebody, but they were celebrating the victory of this family against the Greeks, and they took their temple back. But we don't know what they're celebrating. But I know the history. I know what the Maccabean victory over the Hellenistic Greeks, and that's how they got the temple back. So that's Rosh Hashanah. Okay.
What were you gonna say, sister?
Yeah, I want you. I want you to. I mean, I was literally thinking about HAPi as you were going over those 7 like action items. Can you just say them one more time?
Yes, I call it. You know where I got that from? When I was in New York City Technical College, It was New York City Community College when I went to it. I wanted to be a doctor, so I took a whole lot of science and math, bio 1 and 2, chemistry 1 and 2, organic chemistry, calculus 1 and 2. So I was taking a whole lot of science, and in all of those classes, I remember being in calculus, and a German teacher said the Germans discovered the decimal. So I said, how do you build a pyramid without a decimal? How could you possibly build a pyramid and not know anything about a decimal? And so we went back and forth. But I noticed in all the classes, there was this scientific method. Y'all remember the scientific method?
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
a hypothesis, and a theory, and you test it,
Yeah.
and law. So I said, let me organize a leadership scientific method of turning visions into reality. Because you know what it is? Vision's deep. I'm not talking about daydreaming or dreams. Everything other than the natural things in life, everything you see was a vision in someone's mind first.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went through a process to turn that vision into concrete reality. That's the leadership scientific method.
I'm stopping you again before you lay them out, Charles. Before you lay them out, because I don't want to miss the moment. That's called African sacred science. Because that vision and those steps you're about to tell us, you learn those steps from the natural order of things.
That's right.
African sacred science. So now you can break it down for us.
That is so right. So the first thing I do is I have a whole, check this out, this is deep. I have a whole session on just vision. You know what I did? I got a group together and I said, here's some Lego toys, here's some toothpicks, a bunch of stuff. And I said, I want you to build a model city for the 21st century. You can build anything you want. Do you know, I looked at one of the projects, I said, what's that? Oh, that's the jail. Why do you have to have a jail? Oh, what's that? Oh, that's McDonald's. What? You're going to have McDonald's in the future? Because they were challenging to have a vision. This vision, it could be whatever you want it to be. And people say unrealistic, realistic vision is what you make it. So first thing is you got to have a clear vision. And when you see that clarity, then you say step 2. What's deep? Beliefs. Where do you get your beliefs from? What makes you believe what you believe? And what do you believe? So you got to build a strong belief system. And a lot of this vision and belief starts with the conversation you're having with yourself. The most powerful conversation you will ever have is the one, not that you're having with Dr. Small and I, is the one you're having with yourself.
In the mirror.
That's where your power is. That's where my power is. I never tell you, every morning when I get up, I say, I'm going to control my thoughts. I'm not thinking about my things to do today. No. When I get up in the morning at 6, most of the time from 6 to 7 is my vision, is my time to have conversations with myself. I'm not talking about what I got to do in the city council or what's on my busy agenda. I'm talking about Operation Power. How am I going to make revolution in America? Do you really believe that, Charles? Or what about your African ancestors? Did you study, what I want to think about? So step 2 is your belief system. Step 3, you fail the plan, you plan. If you fail to plan, you have planned to fail. You got to have a plan. It just can't be some vision and belief in your mind. You got to have a strategic plan that has benchmarks, like I'm going to have a vision, a mission, and I'm setting goals and tactics and strategies. And so you got to have a plan. Then after the plan, step 3, 4, you got to develop leadership skills, communication skills, negotiating skills, organizing skills, problem solving skills, conflict resolution. You got to get these leadership skills to execute the plan. You got to know how to motivate people. That's why I told all the young leaders around me, when you're walking around outside, somebody asks you how you doing, don't say I'm hanging in there. I'm not following nobody that's hanging in there. I can hang in there by myself. And don't tell me, how you doing, brother man? Trying to pay the bills. Bye. I'm not following nobody trying to pay the bills. When I walk out there, they say, how you doing, brother? Like, great. I'm doing great. They say, oh man, you must have hit the number or something. No, I'm broke, but I'm doing great. Because I determine how I want to feel, nothing externally. You see, here's your power. You can't control what's going to happen externally. But what you're in total control of is your internal response. Ooh. See, I could lose a limb, God forbid, and be depressed for the rest of my life. Or I could lose a limb and say, hey, I got 3 more, let's get busy. I got a mission to accomplish. It's your internal fortitude. That's why I can go up in these cesspools called state assembly and city council, because internally I'm in control. That's where your power is, the internal. So that's 4. Number 5, a lot of people have plans and ideas. I was reading in one book where this brother said that one of the wealthiest places that you could visit is a graveyard, because too many people didn't fulfill their potential, and the cure to AIDS is in that grave. The cure to cancer is in that grave. A dance that wasn't choreographed is in that grave. A poem that wasn't written, a business that wasn't started is in that grave, because you take it to your grave if you don't fulfill it before you make your transition. And number 6, you have to celebrate. Black African people, we don't want to celebrate. If I tell somebody, hey, guess what? You know, I just did this and that. Yeah, that's okay. You may have done that, but what about that? No, I'm celebrating this. Well, look, I started a business, Dynamics of Leadership. Dr. Small, I got some calling cards and celebrated. That's so cool. My calling cards. Had my little torch on there. So wow, slick calling. I celebrate.
You're practicing African sacred science at the highest level, my brother. One day, Felicia will tell you about number 6. I taught her how to look in the mirror.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you know what's so deep about that, Dr. Small? You remember the young brothers when they be on a train? What you staring at? And they would get into a fight because somebody was staring at them. Now, when I'm on the train, if somebody's staring at me, I think they're saying I look good. They're looking at me because they think I look good. I don't be saying, hey, what you looking at? You know why? Because when that brother stared at himself in the mirror, he didn't like his image.
That's right.
So if he sees Dr. Small staring at him, saying, wow, what a handsome brother. You look like a little prince. He's going to say, Dr. Small don't like how he looks either, because I don't like how I look. You see what I'm saying? So,
that's powerful, brother.
You got to, I get up every morning. Now, I know there's maybe 2 or 3 people in the world that look better than me. Just 2 or 3, Dr. Small. I get up in the morning. I say, brother, you're a good-looking African man. Look at you. Now, I know there's plenty looking better, maybe worse and same or whatever. I like how I look. So I give myself everything I need before I leave my house. When you give it to me, it's extra, because you might decide not to give it to me. So if I'm counting on you, and that's why celebration is so important, to get up there, and it's a fuel for motivation. And then number 7, write a book, start an organization, plant a seed. Like Dr. Small has so much that he institutionalized that he'll never know, the seeds that he planted in the minds of thousands, maybe millions of people that will be cultivated when he's long gone. So he has institutionalized his ideas in books, in institutions, at forums, on this show tonight. I looked at all the people in the chat saying, "No, master teacher, love it." You know, you won't. The only unfair thing to Dr. Small is that we don't have the instrument to measure in those people all the things you did for them. So there's not something, unless they just say, well, I did this because I was motivated by Dr. Small, you won't know.
Yeah.
But number 7, institutionalize your idea so it outlives you.
So, okay. Okay. I'm going to connect this. We're taking a commercial break with this. So, yeah, because I was just sitting here thinking, I'm going through steps. So we are hosting HAPi and IKG, which is Anthony Browder's organization that he has had for 40 years. It's non-for-profit for 40 years. He's celebrating next year. We are all going to Kemet in February. Yes. So we're having this 2-day conference in Aswan, Egypt. Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, Professor James Small, Dr. Vera and Dr. Wade Nobles will be speaking, Dr. Baina Bello, Dr. Theopil Abanga, Dr. Solange Ashby, Asar Imhotep, and Ifudishi Duhutimus, right? So we're going to have this 2-day event. And family, we are to commemorate this because we want to make sure people remember this from years and years and years. Everyone that's speaking is going to have their picture. They're going to do their bio, and they're going to give their abstract of their speech that they're going to, talk to us about.
Wow.
The theme is called One Africa, Returning to the Source.
Wow.
And so in this book now, family, this is how everybody can get involved. You can memorialize yourself in this book by just simply getting a, you can take out a little ad space because this book is going to outlive us. It's going to pass down. I was just at the Jeffries' house and he's showing me different books and he's going to get them together so I can show you guys, okay, but of different, conferences he's been in, and I'm looking at these ads and I'm like, this is going to be HAPi next year. So if you guys want to get into, put your business in it, or if you just want to just take out a space and write whatever, make sure you get at us. And you guys can email us at infohapi.com. I'm sorry, hapifilm@gmail.com. And send, once you send us the email, we will send you the form. You can pick where you want to be. But you guys should definitely make it happen. It's going to be a huge, epic event. It's going to be really nice. But this is a way, that we're trying to plant seeds and leave things. But and I have to also add this, family, is that when I was talking to Professor Small, he said the exact same thing when Mr. Barron, you got on, and I didn't say nothing to you. You said the same thing that he said about you. Which I was Professor Small said that about you.
That's my man.
Yeah, which he said, he's like, we've known each other for a long time. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, we're good. We know what we're doing. And I was like, and you got on and you said the same thing. You guys have the same mindset, that is so, oh my God. Like, I'm feeling this. I'm just sitting here listening too. I see everybody in the chat is like, I can listen to these two build forever. I was like, yeah, me too. Yeah. You guys are definitely laying it down.
Well,
and
what's
go ahead.
Go ahead, sis.
No, and also this is why you guys, if you haven't seen HAPi, you need to see HAPi because he, a piece of what he is saying, okay, is in HAPi when he talks about, when you can see his affordable housing. Because I remember that line. You were like, when the city tells me that this place is affordable, and I say affordable to who? I know that line because every time I see you, I think about you saying that. Because you're like affordable to who? And that's so true, because of your power. And you said it then and you're saying it now. You are one consistent brother. It's, the reason why you are where you are is because of power, and you understand and you use power to help us move forward.
What's really sad, Dr. Small? Check this out. This is New York State. Too bad we don't have our master teacher filling the minds of our elected officials. Look at New York State. The head of the assembly, Black. I'll say Black because they're not African yet. Black. The head of the Senate, Black. The Attorney General, Black. The Public Advocate, Black. The Majority Leader in the Assembly, Black. The Majority Leader in the Council, Black. There are 4 Democratic parties, organizations in each borough. In Brooklyn, Rodney's Bouchette, black woman heading up the Kings County Democratic Party, largest in the country. In Queens, Gregory Meeks heading up the Queens Democratic Party. Jamal in the Bronx heading up the Bronx Democratic Party. Keith Wright in Manhattan heading up the Manhattan Democratic Party. 4 party leaders that are black. The DA, 2 DAs are black. U.S. attorneys, black. The borough president of the Bronx, black. The borough president of Queens, black. Powerful unions, 1199, 32BJ, DC 37, black. That is a state of neo-colonialism, because with all of that black faces in high places doesn't mean black power. More black poverty, mass incarceration, miseducation, inadequate health care, you name it, we're inflicted by that in a state that has a $200 billion budget and a city that has a $100 billion budget, and 65% of the people in New York City, the most powerful city in the world, are black, brown, and Asian. Well, African, Latino, Latina, and Asian. Whites are 20 some odd percent, 7%, maybe 30% of New York City. The city council has 51 members. 34 of them are black, Latino, and Asian. Whites are minorities. I remember when I was running for mayor, just to be messing with their head, I ran for mayor, and the reporter said, well, how are you going to, I know you're going to get the minority vote, but how are you going to get the white vote? I said, you mean the minority vote? He said, no, the white vote. I said, yeah, the minority vote. But no, he couldn't connect minority to white.
Right.
So badly that, you know what have some of us saying? We are the majority minority. How the hell you
I hear that
minority?
Yeah.
You are the majority, they are the minority.
But you see, you've named it. That is the classic case of neo-colonial consciousness. See, that's neo-colonial consciousness. We see it all over Africa and the Caribbean every day. And so we see it right here in America, particularly in New York. And I know many of those persons.
Oh,
and
yeah, you know
with many of those persons. And they got to where they got because of the people like me and you.
That's
who
right.
Forced the cause to question our absence from those positions. And then they get in those positions, and the first person they want to oust is me and you.
That's right. Look, my biggest enemy is not Donald Trump, some white people, is the black Democrats in East New York. Those are my biggest enemies, the black Democrats in East New York. Me and Inez can't rest for a second. We always have primaries, and they're always feeding people. Most of the time, they have more money than us. They always come at us, and we beat them anyway. But, you know, it's important for us to now talk about what's the solution to all of that. And I think that's what we're trying to do in Operation. We are doing in Operation Power. One solution is revolutionaries, radicals, use the Democratic primary as a strategy to win a seat while you develop an independent party to run in November. We tried it with the Freedom Party, remember, James?
Yep. I still got my t-shirt.
But see, when you do that, and we should, in November, the race is already over. Whoever wins the Democratic primary can go to Hawaii in November and still win.
Yes.
Because our people blindly vote Democratic in the general election. When they see the multiple parties, they're going to just push Democratic. So when you win the primary, you're a shoo-in for the general 99% of the time. So we got to build a black, radical, revolutionary electoral movement to deal with city council seats, assembly seats across the country.
But see, as you laid it out tonight, the why. You bring it back down. People say, well, we want jobs, but here's how you get them. Okay.
Yeah.
We want lower rents. Here's how you get it.
See?
You can't get it if you don't take over the politics where you live.
Master teacher.
How am I going to get food, clothing, and shelter?
That's right.
You got to control economic politics, culture, where you live. If you don't listen to me, listen to Malcolm. So they said, Brother Minister Malcolm, what do you mean by black nationalism? He said, black nationalism means you control the economic, politics, and culture where you live.
That's right.
You can't do that without getting in these elected office.
That's it.
We always running the people who have fought against us for office instead of running ourselves for office.
That's right.
So you laid it out right. Your book has to become one of the guiding lights.
Oh, man. Read that stuff, we could win. But you know what's so deep about that? When I go into East New York, I love walking through the neighborhood. Because they had, Charles, man, you talk all that black power rhetoric, man, but I need a job. I said, well, you know what? I got you 2,300 jobs this year. Oh, really? Yeah, but I need a place to live. Yeah, well, we got you 6,000 units of affordable housing. Oh, really?
And if you run for office, we're going to get twice that.
Right. Now, and then here's where we have to transition them to. Even though we did all of that, we're still on a plantation.
Yes.
Even though we did all of that, East New York still has some of the highest crime rates, some of the highest homelessness and all of that, because it's the system that must be radically changed. So I need you to come with me. Since I got you that gig, and since I stopped the landlord from messing with you, and since I got your little cousin out of jail, join the movement to change this whole system.
Yes.
You see, racism, you got to be careful when you fight against racism. And I don't care for the term white supremacy. We use it a lot and I understand it, but
I don't use it at all.
It doesn't exist. That's what they think. But we got to be careful when you just focus on racism. You're talking about being included. That's when they talk to you about, inclusion, integration, because that's racist. They don't have enough black people on Wall Street. Okay, here, take some black Wall Street people. That's racist. We never had a black president here, and here's a vice president too. That's racist. We don't have enough black teachers. We don't have enough black police. We don't have enough black this, black that. Racism, you have to be careful when you're focusing on racism. They'll give you diversity. I don't want to diversify capitalism. It's a fatally flawed system that needs a revolution. Racists will speak out against racism because they know that means inclusion. You're not one elected official other than Inez and I will talk out against capitalism. Bernie Sanders will say socialism, but he won't say we got to dismantle the capitalist system and replace it with socialism. No, we need a Green New Deal.
Because he doesn't even mean socialism when he says
exactly. Exactly.
Let me show you something that was in the news. And it's sad. A young Yemeni brother was killed in a robbery in Brooklyn. Yesterday or today. In a robbery. And his cousin is speaking to the press. And his name was Zaid Nagy. Now, I remember when the Nagy family first moved here from, listen to me well, right? From Yemen. They opened the first store on 147th 7th Avenue in an abandoned building next to my mom. I was living with Malcolm's sister Ella and her family up in Boston at the time when I came home on the weekend. My mother was very sad. And I said, what's the matter? She said, well, those guys, some Arab guys, they just opened a store and a brother tried to rob them and they killed them. And the blood is all on the sidewalk. And I went and told them they got to clean the sidewalk. And they said, we want to make a point of it. So I told them, I got this. So I go and I tell them who I was, and I says, you got 24 hours. I want you to scrub it so clean I can't see one speck of blood on that ground when I come out. I will be back in 24 hours. And they understood who I was. I came back in 24 hours and they had cleaned it. The point, that family who was financed by another ethnic community who made sure they got beer license and liquor license, even though they didn't have a green card, that they can get all this Con Ed service in an abandoned building to open stores in our community. They open the next one on 117th Street, the next one on 145th Street, and they create a whole Yemeni network of those who had sided with this government against their then government, which had been totally destroyed. And we saw their refugees. But no, these are the collaborators who brought safety. And the stores was all stocked for free on consignment. Because me being a Muslim, remember, I'm an imam. I can speak all the Arabic you want. And I've been before the Rabbatul, the Rabat Alim al-Islamim in Mecca, and that's who authorized me to teach in America. And there's nobody outranking me here, even I gave up the mosque. But they know who I was. So they took me to those others who stocked their stores and told them the only way the others, can keep the African Americans from taking over their community, they must bring another community in to take over goods and services. So these aren't just hard-working people. They had a plan afoot, and they agreed to be a part of the plan afoot, knowing that they were becoming a part of the colonial machinery against African American economically.
That's right.
The way you stop violence in the street is you give people education and jobs. People commit crimes for the most part because they need something.
There you go. There you go.
They need something.
Right. And you know we got to look out for too, Dr. Small? Eric Adams. I know you're happy that Eric became mayor.
I know.
Eric is, there's Cloud 9. That's about that big. Then there's Cloud 99. That's about where his head is right about now.
I know him going back to the days.
I've known him for 40 years. Eric is the worst thing that could be happening for us right now. And he got his little black sister police commissioner. They're going to bring back the street crime unit of Rudolph Giuliani. That's why he hired her. He's going to turn it into a police state. Why? Not to really make the streets safe for us, but for his conservative, rich businessmen on Wall Street who said, if you don't do something with crime, we're leaving. So he's going to do that. He's going to privatize public housing with the RAD and PAC program. He's going to charter schools. He's going to give them big hunks of money out of the school budget. His boy Banks will work with him on that. So they're going to put a face on monopoly capitalism, and we're going to be happy because they're black. I'll guarantee you, if I walk in a room, they'll say, hey, Charles, let Eric walk in. Yeah, the mayor. I
know I'm going back to when he left. I know I'm going back when he left the Guardian, right?
That's right.
And which was a sabotage move on the part of his part. And many of the other brothers who served with him at that time, who worked with me in OAU and other things, we know who that is.
Yeah.
We know historically.
And they wanted him. They funded him.
They groomed him.
Eric never had to have a hard race.
The Barron president's office was a grooming office. We saw them do it with David Dinkin,
Right. So he's going to be worse.
Oh, he's going to be much
worse. This is the most powerful city in the world. So if we as a people rose up, and I'm trying to tell the city council, this is another thing about power. The city council passes the budget, not the mayor. He presents it. The city council determines what's going to be built on city-owned land, not the mayor. So he can sell out to the real estate industry all he wants. The real estate industry, they have to get things passed in the city council. And we pass all the laws. So all of these socialists coming in now, we'll see when it comes to standing up against the mayor's budget, standing up against these real estaters that are gentrifying our neighborhoods, and standing up for policies that liberate. That's
what did you call it?
What they really are. So
You
I try
call
to
it
let
theology
everybody
and what?
Huh?
You said you got to have a theology and
ideology.
Ideology.
Right.
That's African sacred science, and that's what HAPi is all about.
Right. And that's what you got to have. But I want to, since I know we're going on long and we probably have to end soon, but this is what I want all of us to understand. We are winning.
Absolutely.
We are winning, but it doesn't
Absolutely.
look like that because you see all the poverty and the unemployment. But this is an international struggle.
Absolutely.
And central to the liberation of African people in the diaspora is the unification and liberation of Africa under the communalistic, socialistic government. When Africa is liberated, we have to connect Africa's liberation to ours. So
and we're doing it, Brother Charles, and especially with a lot of these platforms and the HAPi platform. 2 weeks ago, I got a call from a sister friend of mine who was Ethiopia, because we were trying to see if we could intercede in that situation going on there. And thank God some of the brothers came out and said, look, America paid us. That's, you know, the brothers who was supposed to be the rebels, right? They pulled the cover off the whole thing, you know? And just pulled the cover off America, Britain, Egypt, and a couple of others, the Saudis. And they wanted to stop the building of that dam that this brother is trying to build, which is going to be the biggest hydroelectric plant in Africa.
That's going to be awesome.
Things, you know? But here's what was beautiful. Sister called me and couldn't reach me. So I get a call from another brother in Ghana, say, hey, sister from Ethiopia is trying to reach you. And she said, call this number in Namibia. And I call in Namibia, and it's in Yomo's home. And I said, do you remember me from the days when I was on the Bubadika Sunny Council back when you were running from the FBI? You know, so a lot of things is coming more together. There's so many beautiful platforms. I really like to get him. I know, I got, you know, my girl's platform, Susan Tata. That's another platform I think called the Pan-African Daily TV. And it covers all of the continent, all of the US and the Caribbean. And there's about 8 others that I know of young people who ain't taking no prisoners.
That's right.
In the Caribbean and Africa over here. HAPi being one of the bigger ones over here and it's growing.
That's right.
I don't think police and them realize even yet the impact it's having. But people across the world know about you. And they tune in. I think we saw something tonight to some people from England.
Yeah.
And something with some
and you know how we know we're winning?
Mr. Barron.
Yeah.
In the UK. They want to figure out how they can get your book in the UK. They are in the chat talking about it. It's international. I mean, they can ship it.
I think they can go straight to Barnes and Noble. They ship all over the place.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but check that. If not, you know, give me their information and I can send them one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But you know why I know we're winning? Because of what Dr. Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah's book, Neo-Colonialism, the last stage of imperialism.
That's right.
When you see neo-colonialism happen, remember years ago, they didn't try to front with no black people. They colonized Africa. They ain't try to put no African faces up there. All of the African countries in the 50s and 60s, they were whites, Europeans heading up all the countries. When the Africans start rising up, they said, whoa, let's get some African sellouts. Let's put them in office and have a ceremony and give them a new flag and new name, but not the economy, not the land. Which is
I heard a young boy
back in Zimbabwe. So when you see all of this happening in New York, all these black faces, we're winning.
I saw a young brother from Zimbabwe today on his little platform. And it was 20 minutes. Another brother in Africa sent this to him, and he was talking about the abolition of the borders in Africa. And he said, let's make it clear to the politicians in Africa. He said, y'all are collaborators.
Yes.
All right. And he says, we make up 60% of this continent, and we're going to tear those borders down. This is the youth of Africa talking.
Wow. Can you imagine the resources of the richest continent in the world going to African people instead of Europe and China and all of these, Italy and Germany and all these other countries. It's the same thing in America. Let's take East New York. Let's take Harlem. Any place where we are 60, 70% of the population, we should control everything.
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 And that's what we got to fight for. Revolution starts from the bottom up, not the top down.
I agree.
So when you take a city council seat,
food, clothing, shelter, safety, and
a
security.
revolutionary stance.
And the way to get food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security, you got to control base politics.
Bottom line.
The school board.
That's
you got to control PTA.
That's right.
You got to control the city council. You got to control the land review committees, et cetera, et cetera.
And you remember when Amilcar Cabral said, bear in mind, the masses are not fighting for ideas in your head.
Right.
They're fighting for material benefits and a future for their children. Tell no lies, mask no difficulties, and claim no easy victories. See, that's what our people are fighting for. If I go out there and say, let me break down socialism, African communalism, and black radical politics, you're going to give me a job? Yes, I got you one last week. Now let me talk to you about radical politics. I always talk about Miss Adeline Bunch. Miss Adeline Bunch is our treasurer and been working with us for 20 years in Operation Power. We met Miss Adeline Bunch. She was a part of the machine working on the election polling sites, and she went to Catholic church and, you know, a white pastor and just a nice sister. And she took a liking to us. That was she was in her late 70s. Miss Bunch is 92 now, talking like she's a black radical. Miss Bunch, you got to meet her, James. I got to introduce her. You got to talk to her. We get on our meetings because, you know, and what I try to do is always have a session for ideological development so that we're not just talking about how to win an election, but how, when you win the election, how do you stay radical and revolutionary and African after you've won? And when you get in there, how do you deliver to your community and call into question spiritual wickedness in high places? You know, how do you do that and win? So you could win, but not deliver. I'll be very honest with y'all. I told people I could win, but y'all not going to like me because when I get in, don't ask me to be nice to the mayor so you can get something or nice to a governor. That's not going to happen. And I could actually hurt the community because I'm going to be in their face. I am not a politician, never will be a politician. I'm an elected revolutionary. So you sure you want me? They said yes. And it has to be, Dr. Small, it has to be African science, African spirituality, the ancestors, God. I think I'm a bad man, but there's no way I was able to deliver all of that to East New York just based on who Charles Barron is. That is the ancestors and God working.
Because African spirituality, Brother Charles, is not spookality. It's reality.
There you go.
And reality starts with being able to provide food, clothing, shelter, safety for yourself and your family.
Right.
And to do that, you got to take over economic, politics, and culture. First step. Then control land, labor, and resources.
Bottom line.
You know.
Wow. I'm only stopping because I don't know whether we over time or not, because I can talk to Dr. Pauls all night. I'm just trying to, you know. I don't know where you're going with this, but I can talk to doctors. We can go at it all night because we got that spirit and rhythm.
You're right. We have won. We now have to teach our people how to consolidate their victory.
Yeah,
because when you're able to produce an income of over $1.4 trillion a year for the last few years, you don't need nobody except to control the apparatus that governs your environment.
Right. And see, you know, the big thing that you got to defeat under capitalism is materialism. Materialism. And also capitalism, and this is why I do my 1 hour in the morning thinking about what I want to think about and having a conversation with myself that I want to have, not that I have to have. Because capitalism forces you in a survival mode.
Mhm.
You know, 95% of our people are into survival, not liberation. So when you speak to them, if you don't speak to their survival issues and concerns, they're not going to talk to you and join you with liberation. So capitalism will have you, yeah, Charles, you know, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'll lose my job hanging with you, or I won't get elected hanging with you,
Mhm.
because they got you into survival. You can never radically change anything you're trying to survive in. If you're just trying to survive in here, pay your bills, pay the rent, get me a decent job, you'll never change the system that you're trying to survive. You're trying to dismantle it. And we are winning all over the world. People are rising up. Look at all of the revolutionary movements in Latin America historically. You know, who would have known that the Ayatollah Khomeini from France would be able to get rid of the Shah? And look at all of the dictators that America supported that lost. Duvalier in Haiti, Batista in Cuba, Pinochet in Chile, Somoza in Nicaragua, Eric Gary in Grenada, all lost, all from revolutionaries. And then they came back and got rid of the revolutionaries and recaptured. Now we got to go. Now they see another rising up. This is why what they try to do with people like me and Dr. Small, isolate them.
Mhm.
We don't want to make a hero out of them. So, but just make sure we give all the other Negroes around him enough so that they will stay away from him and know that they benefit more materially if they stay away from him. But you know, it didn't work because look at it. Check this out. In Albany, that old people say, "Oh, Albany's this and that." 63 members of the Black, Latino, Asian, Hispanic, Puerto Rican caucus. I got them to sign a letter to call for the release of Herman Bell,
Oh,
our revolutionary political prisoner, and we got it, and he's free.
mhm.
I got them to sign a letter for the release of Black Liberation Army member Seth Hayes. Got it, and he was released. Unfortunately, he made his transition shortly after. And just recently, we got them to sign a letter for Jalil Montague, Anthony Bottom. His mother is so precious, 85 years old. She's
I
incredible.
know. I know.
But he's out. So here in this place within Charles, you want to get into that thing? 3 political prisoners are free. They've passed my reparations bill in the state assembly for the first time in the history of the state assembly. And check this out. Unlike some of the other bills, when you say you're going to set up a commission, you got to say, well, who's comprising this commission? And most of the bills that call for a commission, if it's a federal bill, it's the president and Congress and hardly any members of the community. And same thing across the state. And my bill, and this is why they had problems, it took me 4 years, I have like 11 members, 6 from the community, 2 from NCOBRA, 2 from the December 12th movement, and 2 from Ron Daniels in the Institute of the Black World.
Oh, yeah.
And then 5 from the state. The community has the majority. That's why they said, no. First I had 9 and 4 because I knew they weren't going to go for that. And they said, Charles, we want to pass your bill, but could we talk about the number? We've never passed a bill where the community had the majority. I said, well, this will be the first one. You're making history. I tell you what, I'll cut it down. 2, 2, 2, 6 to 5. Okay, they passed that bill. And this bill is saying, I don't get into who should get it. Let the commission determine who's eligible to receive it, how much, and what form. Right now, rather than fighting over that because they ain't giving you nothing, say a crime has been committed, people have been injured, compensation is due, this commission will determine that. And let's unite on that. And then we get Dr. Smalls to come and testify before the commission, Dr. J, and the economists and psychiatrists and psychologists for a whole year, $250,000. And then at the end of the year, say, This is what we say reparations should be. That happened.
Listen, that's why you are our revolutionary political representative. Your history speaks for itself. Your queen history speaks for herself.
Oh, she's awesome.
And together, your history speaks aloud.
Oh, my queen is something else. I always tell people, when you fight me, you're going to see the punch coming. I'm going to be in your face. When you fight my queen, she's going to be talking to you. You're going to smile. She's going to be intellectual and sharp. You're going to go home and your eye is going to swell up. And you're going to say, who did this? My queen dinged you when you were talking and you didn't even realize it. You're going to see my punch and you see the swelling right away. When you get home, you see Inez's because she is awesome. I'm trying to learn more of her style.
So let me drop that line again. Spirituality is not spookality.
There you go.
It is reality. And even this, and a lot of brothers have disagreed with me for the last year, I've been saying, young black men, if I had my druthers, every one of you would enlist in the military for 2 years. Learn how to use a weapon appropriately. Come back with all the perks so you can become the policeman and the fireman in the community you live in, because they put you at the head of the line. And brothers said, wow, that's too radical, brothers. Well, we can't do that because that's the enemy. And we listen, what's happening on the street now because of your inappropriate development and your negative association, what do you call that thing? I'm still taking the pills for this knee replacement. Your negative socialization process, you're killing too many of our people. You're killing too many of our people, and we don't have the instrument to stop you. And they're going to use their police department to put you right back in check.
Right.
So I got an idea. Malcolm tell him when he went to recruit, Malcolm said, give me the gun.
There you go. So, you know what they've done skillfully? We've internalized our oppression.
Absolutely.
Once you've internalized your oppression, they don't have to do nothing to you. You do it to yourself. You'll engage in self-destructive behavior.
Right.
So when we come and say, you so bad, I'll tell you where you can point some of your weapons toward, aside from each other. But, we're so powerful and winning so much that they are so afraid of you. They know your power and strength more than anything else. The best way to fend off racism and capitalism is having the great equalizer, power. See, when you have power, I don't care what you think about me.
Absolutely.
I don't care whether you hate me or whatever if I got power, if I'm controlling the destiny, the institutions in my community, the dollars we circulate 50 times before a deed. If I have all of that, who cares whether you like black people or not? Who cares whether you think
they'll be crawling into our community begging for the things they need.
Right.
So we're getting there. I think one of the young people, there's this piece that you see a lot saying all politics is local. And I like that concept.
And it's real.
I tell people in my speeches, you got to take over your PTA, you got to join the school board, you got to run for area policy boards, you got to run for land boards, and you got to run for city council. If you take that level, because all the money that the federal government take from us in taxes, when it comes back and earmark for different things in our community, you then be in charge of how it gets distributed.
That's right.
So you're so on it. And let's talk about the book again. Hold that book up again. And let's tell people about
I'm very excited on it. Been working on it for a couple of years now, and they had it in the chat, and I appreciate it. It's Speaking Truth to Power.
Yeah, I'll put it back in there. I've been putting it in there every 10 minutes.
Yeah. So
a lot of people have been getting it.
Yeah, I see a few people said they bought the book already.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, and I think it'll be some good reading. And I have my 4 grandchildren's pictures in there. I'm a happy 4-time granddaddy. I have my 2 sons' picture in there. And, Dr. Small, in 1982, I went to Tanzania, and I stayed in the Kilimanjaro region.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went on a trip from Tanzania to Nairobi, Kenya,
Mm-hmm.
these brothers took me in a truck. They said, "Don't pay for the plane." It's like $120. I said, "Give it to us, man." You know, that money was like their salary for a year.
I know.
So I gave it to them, and they drove me. And it's like, see, like this is related to Dr. Small. Sometimes greatness is so close to you, you don't really realize the immensity of it.
Right.
And I associate that with Dr. Small and my experience when I was riding in the truck. We rode up, and when I looked to my right, there was some beautiful brown rock, you know, like I couldn't even see beyond it. And I said, "Wow, that is beautiful, that rich brown rock." And they said, "That's Mwanda." I said, "What?" And when he made the turn, it was Mount Kilimanjaro.
Whoa.
You know, when we got further away, I could see the massiveness of the mountain, a cloud around the top, snow at the top, like you were saying, snow at the top and come down the bottom. I saw that. I jumped out there and I took this picture. It's in my book. It's a little foggy, you know, but it's a picture of Mount Kilimanjaro. You know, it's such a massive thing, but when I was close up on it, I couldn't appreciate its power and majesty. It wasn't until I moved back and I saw it. That's you, Dr. Small. People are going to move back one day and look and see how powerful you are and how many minds you have impacted across this globe. Because sometimes we're just too close.
Well, the key thing to me is just to be, people say, what's the best quality of a good leader? Be a good servant.
There you go.
The best quality of a good leader is to be a good servant.
Mm-hmm.
Our job, and you have done such an extraordinary job, you and your mate, comrade, serving our people.
There it is.
The
And you
only
know,
way one can see Malcolm as a revolutionary, look at what he did. He gave service.
He gave service.
Gave service. These are young men, 39 years old, and lives were gone.
That's right. That's why Jesus washed your feet. And you know, in that film Gandhi, they felt uncomfortable, even though Gandhi was a little racist in Africa. But when he got to India, he was in the meeting and he took the tray from the servant and he started serving them tea. And they felt uncomfortable. Gandhi, what are you doing? Leadership is servanthood. We know it took me 2 years to come up with a leadership definition. 2 years. And I came up with leadership is the facilitation of a process. Just taking that part. The leader is a facilitator, not a dictator.
Right.
A facilitator. And leadership is a process that empowers, that motivates, and organizes people to achieve common goals and objectives and a vision for the future, the realization of a vision. That's
beautiful definition. So we got to put that
leadership.
Felicia, that definition alone's got to be separated. That's real.
Oh, no. Listen, I already got like 1,000 memes about to do with Mr. Barron for the next couple weeks. Because I always we take a lot of lines you say from HAPi, but you gave us some new stuff. So I will be using this new stuff.
By all means.
I cannot wait to get the book because I cannot wait to read more about these 7 things. And I want to see your little cloudy picture of Kilimanjaro.
Oh, yeah, you got to see it. Look, I had a little Instamatic camera, you know. It was so breathtaking, man. And then to see the Maasai warriors, you know, we passed them and they jumping up and down. And oh, man, it was just unforgettable. And by the way, I went to Harare, Zimbabwe for the All Africa Conference of Churches. All of the most powerful African leaders, the archbishops and the bishops, all met in Harare, Zimbabwe. And that's where I met Mugabe and met Canaan Banana, who turned out not to be too cool later on. But and I was working with Reverend Daughtry in the African People's Christian Organization. It was interesting how the spirit works. When I made my presentation, we had a symbol of the cross inside of the continent of Africa. And that was the same thing that they had. And except when we see the cross, we don't see it as a crucifixion, but see it as a resurrection. That, you know, they like to have a crucified Christ, but they don't want to talk about the resurrection. You know, how we rose and see our people. This is a period of rebellion and resistance.
Well,
but
let me come back to what you said.
Resistance is not revolution.
Right.
You got to be liberated so that you can do revolution.
Well, spirituality is not spookality. It is reality.
There you go.
And I know we got to bring it to a close, Felicia, because I see the time. But let me just at least end my part with this. The crucified Christ become the resurrected Christ because he never got crucified. So when we study the sacred science of Africa, first of all, to be in his position, he's got to be a voodoo priest. He's got to be of stature. That's why he's called a Lord. Now, understanding voodoo simply means the essence of the divine within the human. And so when he says, I thirst, somebody gave him something to drink. What did they give him? They said they gave him gall and vinegar, according to the Bible. What is gall in Hebrew? It's pure poppy juice. What is vinegar? Fermented apple juice. So once he got hit with that, his metabolism went down so low, when they stabbed him with the sword, he couldn't bleed to death. And to show you how accurate it is, any physician will tell you that when your metabolism goes down to a certain level, that your brain barely needs any oxygen, your body will bleed blood and water. Hello, wake up. And so he looked dead, but he wasn't dead because the medicine had been given when he said, I thirst. And so when the sisters came on Sunday, because the sisters are the priestess, of course the sisters came to the place where they said he was at no more, because they had to do the medical things with the herbal things. And when the sisters tell the brothers, he said, meet him here. And the brothers, they're all confused because they went on the inner circle. When they got there, it is clear by their own biblical literature he's not dead, because he tells Thomas, stick your finger through the physical hole in my hand. He pulled off the perfect escape. African sacred science at work.
Powerful. And I always say, any leader that subscribes to any permanency of our oppression is not fit to lead us. Absolutely. We will win. It's temporary. We will win.
Yes, that's Swapo's old song. We will win.
That's right. They say the struggle may be long, but the victory is certain.
Absolutely.
Well, fellas, I mean, this was great. I cannot wait. I'm gonna have to listen again to this so I can get first I gotta get my quotes down from both of you guys. But this was so inspirational. You gave us the blueprint. See, I didn't know you was coming on to do all of this. You know, in my mind today, I was
African sacred science.
Exactly, because you and I talked last night.
Science.
African sacred science. You and I talked last night. We in our minds, we were gonna do this. And then Taki said, hey, and he sent me a picture. I said, wow, look at this book. I said, oh, this is Charles Barron. He said, he's going to come on. And then I tell, Professor Small, he's like, oh, yeah, that's what I knew him since when he was 18. I was like,
that's right.
Time. And so this is so great. This worked out. Oh, my God, I love you guys. And I could not wait. Yeah. You know, I was telling Professor Small that we gave HAPi our first time ever giving out an award, and we gave one to you and your queen, Inez Barron, for your it's the HAPi Economic Award, because you guys embody the HAPi Economic Award. You understand economics on such a deep level that has been able to like just transform your community, and you still keep working.
Thank you. Well, you know, I'm doing this tonight with a very heavy heart, and I decided to do it anyway. And it's a moment of sadness and gladness for me, because my mother made her transition two days ago. Daisy Barron, she was 96 years old. So I said, you know, Mom would have wanted me to do this. I got most of my fight from my mother, you know, and I said, wow, 96 years old. But you know what's amazing about my mother, aside from she was like Like you just said, Dr. Mo, what a servant. She just served all the time. But at least we can say my mama had 5 children. My oldest sister is 75.
Wow.
The next age is 74, Sister Marcia.
Mhm.
I'm 71.
Mhm.
My brother is 69. My other brother is 65. We buried our mother. She didn't have to bury any of us.
Mhm.
And you know, it is a rarity that
Mhm.
you have parents who don't bury their children.
Mhm.
There's too many of our parents burying their children. So I said, you know, like the sad part was that I miss her. She's gone. The happy part, she's in the bosom of God at peace and love. And I wouldn't want her to stay here another day for my selfish reasons. Because, you know, sometimes our elders hold on because of us.
Absolutely.
They
do.
really want to go because they fulfilled their mission or they don't see any more purpose for anything that they have to do. And they may be very ill and dementia and a whole lot of stuff, but they hold on because they know you can't handle them leaving.
Mm.
Not that they don't want to leave.
Right.
And my father, when he died in 88, he had an aneurysm. I said, no, Dad, you're dying of racism. But they said he had an aneurysm. And
It's racism.
right. And if he got the operation, he may not ever wake up. So he said, Chuck, do it because I'm ready. Because I'm ready. He meant ready to go home,
Mhm.
not ready to do the operations and stay around. So, you know, death for us who believe there's no such thing. It's a transition.
Listen, it is African sacred science.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the African theology that speaks to a beginning or an end, and none of the systems we practice. And Christianity, just to help some people, I stay away from it some because then people get confused. Christianity started in Africa.
That's right.
Islam started in Africa.
That's right.
Judaism started in Africa.
That's right.
They're all, I used to say years ago, they were all fragments from the periphery of our sacred science system. But they were, I think Charles said a little better earlier, they were reculturalized by another culture.
Mm-hmm.
But the fundamental of the science is in the book.
It is right there.
We just have to study it.
That's it.
And you can't see what's in the book unless you see the mirror of yourself.
There it is.
Study African history and you'll recognize yourself when you see it.
Somebody told me, but Charles, that's the King James version of the book. Didn't he translate it? I said, yeah, he translated.
The translation is not a version.
That's right. And I said, well, give me King James book. I said, look in the book of Genesis. What rivers are surrounding the Garden of Eden? Euphrates, Hiddekel, all in Ethiopia.
Oh,
that's Africa.
Yeah,
that's in the King James version. So
they didn't know enough to change.
Right.
They didn't know enough.
They didn't know that.
What they did is wrapped it in their cultural cloth, and that confused us.
That's right.
Once we can strip that cultural cloth,
that's it.
Then there's no fundamental difference between the Yoruba, the Voodoo, the Congo, the Christian. Matter of fact, the Catholic Church, which is the mother of all the Protestant church, because the Protestant church don't come until after Martin Luther had his Reformation in the 1500s. The Catholic Church was at that point in existence for, I think, 1,000 years. But the Catholic Church didn't come into existence until 500 years after the Ethiopian Church.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ethiopian Church came into existence a couple of hundred years after the Byzantine and what they call the Coptic Church. But the Byzantine, the people in southern Turkey, was black when they created the Hagia Sophia, which was the first church that the Europeans could hold on to. But these were black priests and teachers and writers. The same thing for the Coptic Church. If you go into the Coptic Museum in Cairo right now, all the images of Christ is black. All the images of Mary and her mother and everybody is black today in the Egyptian Coptic Church Museum. And so we know something, but we just have to be careful how we say it, because we don't want people to say, "Oh, that," you know, without getting, without how do you say, cleansing the thing,
There you go.
taking their poison forward. We got to cleanse it of their poison, so we can understand. Like that little piece I told you about Christ on the cross. How many people know about that? How many people understand that they said he bled blood and water? How many people know when your metabolism is so low, your brain barely needs any oxygen, you bleed blood and water, which means he wasn't dead. Why did they break the leg of the other two guys, but they didn't break his? The fix was in. His boys had it covered. They was on it. You know? So I just go like, wow, you know, he's my man, because I understand who he is. But I want to come back to your mother, my mother, your mother, and my mother. That's the same mother, you know, and wish her a safe journey home.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, she's now on her way back home. She came on a mission. You know, a big part of that mission was you.
That's right. I'm a product of hers.
Yeah, not just the product of her, you are her. When
there
she,
you go.
Your father gave birth to you, they gave birth to themselves.
There you go.
Okay, so you are the continuum. And then their great-grandchildren is the continuum. And your children. When we understand African theology, what Mary and Jesus and Joseph is saying is that the man and the woman creates the child. Yes, the child is God. If the child comes from God, he came from the man and the woman. The first time the universe manifests itself as a human being, let me say that again now. The first time the totality of everything that exists manifests itself as a human being, it manifests as a Black woman. And everything goes forward from there, and there's no way to disprove that. When I says I'm God having a human experience, there's no way to disprove that. Matter of fact, you can only prove that. Every living thing is an expression of an aspect of the divine essence having their functional purpose. That's African theology. And the African theology and ideology is wrapped in one package. That's African sacred science.
Wow.
And what Charles has told us tonight, he's a living phenomena of African sacred science.
Thank you, sir.
On the real side, I don't have to placate you, because you know I will kick a butt with words in a minute.
In a heartbeat.
And right, okay? But I admire you. I respect you. I respect your queen. I see your work. And I understand the danger you've lived through. Remember, I was in the Black United Front too. So I watched you work with the best of the best in Brooklyn from across the country for years. You know, I was the liaison between OAU and Black Panther Party.
Oh yes, I remember.
And Lumumba Shakur. Zaid was over the Bronx chapter, Lumumba over the Harlem chapter.
Yeah.
So we've been on the same kind of bumping into each other for decades.
Right.
And what's so beautiful about you, you come from the revolutionary struggle, not the classroom talking about revolution.
In the streets.
You came from the struggle of those streets.
I have a nice piece that you would appreciate, Dr. Small, in my book on Afeni Shakur.
Oh, yes.
So, Afeni and I, we became very, very close. Now, I can say this to y'all, so y'all get it right and don't be messing up. Before Inez, I was dating Afeni. So make sure y'all understand. Before Inez. Got that? Everybody got that?
Before. Chad heard that before.
Inez.
You know.
But you know the interesting thing that happened, Dr. Small, when I used to get my papers from the Harlem chapter and go on the Lower East Side. I grew up in the Lillian Wall project, so I used to do all my work down there, not up in Harlem. But I always used to see her, and I used to say, "Wow, man, that's a bad Black woman." But I don't know, she would never be interested in me, a little whippersnapper from the Lower East Side. So I said, I ain't gonna try to talk to her. She's a bad sister. Now, 30 years later, I'm doing some work. I remember the Atlanta mothers that came to New York because all the children were being killed in Atlanta.
Right.
And Afeni was organizing a coalition to do a candlelight vigil. About 40,000 people showed up. And I was on that coalition representing the Harlem chapter of the Black United Front, Reverend Daughtry. I said, oh, there she is. I ain't scared no more. let me give it a shot. I said, my sister, I feel awkward saying this, but man, did I have a crush on you, right? So we actually started dating. Tupac used to come to my house with Setua, his sister. She joined the House of Lord Church with Reverend Daughtry. And then she had moved to Baltimore, and Tupac got with Digital Underground. And then before you know it, he blew up big and large. So I got a couple of articles on Afeni in there because she.
Oh, nice.
Let me tell you how far back me and Afeni go. God bless her spirit. C and Lumumba, when they got married, before that marriage ended, we both got married in Malcolm X's sister's bedroom.
Is that right? Wow.
Yes. So that's way back. We're talking 50 plus years.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Wow.
Yeah, but Afeni, I got her in there. She's special. We got a piece on Fidel Castro in there.
Yes. She was a warrior's warriors. A warrior.
All the people that they don't like, I got in there. So.
Oh my God, this book sounds great.
You have the courage to be the truth. That's African sacred science, and that's what HAPi. Let's tie it back into HAPi. HAPi is trying to explain African sacred science to the masses of our people. You did it so beautifully well tonight when you're talking about taking control of the political apparatus that governs and have power over your community, because that's what African sacred science teaches. African sacred science is not but slaughtering a chicken or burning a candle, or those may be ritualistic things to teach at certain levels, but that has little to do with the core of what African sacred science is. And one of the great teachers who used to teach Nana Peri Denizulu, and her name is Nana Parabia, from the great shrine of Late, the Akanadi shrine in Ghana. The one time I heard her speak, and that's why I got the concept, that spirituality is your reality. It's what you do and what you should be doing. All content has intent. All content has intent. And you made it clear tonight that, and when you were laying out the 7 pieces, and I wanted to stop at one point and said, that's where that all content has intent. And you were talking about planning and being able to plan. You gotta have, you can have content, but if you don't have intent, it's meaningless.
Yeah.
So,
and
under a lot of the big scientists, my mother was from one of them. I had multiple of them, but her name is Nana Fuasa, from the family of Afriye, and she was the chief priestess of Ashanti. She died at 101 5 years ago. But that was my baby. That was my teacher. I could not speak Twi, hardly nothing, and she didn't want to ever speak any English. But when we got together, we communicated like that. Not able to speak the language, and it did not matter. We can answer each other from just feeling the meaning of what was said. And she taught me so much about, this isn't about rituals and the things you're doing. Those were the tools of the science. The science is the concept, ideas, and principles you put into practice to build your community and your nation state. Okay, so I know it's time for you to close out.
That's perfect way to end it. Thank you, Mr. Barron. Brother, wait, what did you call him, Professor? You said Brother Barron. No, you said it was like 3 names when you were calling him, because I said Mr. Barron and you said Brother Barron, Brother. I can't remember what you said.
Brother Charles. But, he's a revolutionary leader.
Yes.
That has proven that the path and the methodology works.
Absolutely. And
it ain't like I heard of him. I watch him walk with Reverend Daughtry. I watch him walk with G2 Uzi. I watch him walk with Sonny Carson. I watch him walk with Black Panther Party. He ain't no fake.
No, and it's action. It's action. Because I have to say, a lot of times people just are always talking about, you need to be doing this, you need to, all that little talking stuff. That's nice. And Dr. Ranoka Rashidi would say it all the time. He was like, a lot of times people like to pontificate in interviews. He's like, but you got to see what they're doing. What is the action? Right. And so you are so action oriented. So I just appreciate you. I appreciate
you saying that, but it takes more genius to implement an idea than it does to think of one. A lot of people have a whole bunch of ideas, but it takes more genius to implement it.
Absolutely.
And the book again, Brother Charles, before we close.
Speaking Truth to Power, a compilation of articles and essays on revolution, Black radical politics, and leadership.
Okay. Yep. And you guys, the link for it is in the chat right there. So you know what you're getting right there. I love it. All right.
Look, I didn't even. They wanted me to try to trick the people. They said, "Don't say $25. Say $24.99." I said, "Get out of here!" Because if you say $24.99, you're tricking people, and they don't realize they're paying $25 because it's 1 cent less. I said, "Get out of here!"
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, most people are like, "Why didn't you just put 25?"
Right.
I'm like, "Why did you just put 25?"
Yeah, because they try to make, like, I used to do a little selling of things, and they say never mention dollars and cents and cost. So if I was doing that, I could say my book cost $25, or I could say I'll give it to you for $25. You can have it for $25. No cost, no cents, no pay. So they play that in the world. You know what? I'm gonna give it to you for $11.99. I'm gonna give it to you for $11.99 instead of you have to pay $11.99 for the book. But capitalism is a trip, man. They never let up. It's always profiteering, and so. But anyway, Dr. Small, I enjoyed. My sister, I enjoyed you as well, and I appreciate the time and attention that you have given.
But his other name is the Black Excellency.
Thank you.
The Black Excellency. Because when you hold that station, and he's held multiple stations, state and city, appropriately, we should say excellency in opening an address. But he's Black Excellency and Black Excellence.
Thank you, sir.
Some people use that title and don't deserve it. Black Excellence make you Black Excellency.
There it is. All right. Thank you, Brother Charles.
My pleasure.
Yes, we will definitely be in touch. And tell Miss Inez hello, and that she got to come back on the show sometime. I had such a delight talking to her early on. So thank you.
Yes, I remember that. Yes. Absolutely. With LaShawn, right? With the Muhammad.
Yeah, with LaShawn. Yeah. All you guys are economic innovators out in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah, we're doing it. LaShawn, and I have such a great relationship with her husband, Minister Henry Muhammad. He's one of my close comrades and friends, out here in East New York.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, she's a special spirit. All right. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings.
Bye-bye.
Peace and blessings.
Okay. So, guys, listen, this was a good show. I know everybody needs to just go back and look at the show again, because I know I'm going to be looking at it. So I could just think of, just listen to all these quotes. This was really, really good. Family, just a recap. We are going to be in Houston on January 9th, actually the 8th and 9th. We're having a whole big HAPi, the Restoration of Consciousness weekend. It's a 2-day event. If you do not have your, if you're in the Houston area, make sure that you get your tickets. It is going to be fire. We have Professor James Small, and we have Dr. Wade Nobles. They're each going to give a lecture on that Saturday, and then we have the HAPi premiere on Sunday, followed by a panel discussion with Asar Imhotep, Professor Small, Dr. Wade Nobles, and his wife. Y'all don't know nothing about Dr. Wade's Nobles' wife. she bad, okay? And she's also going to be with us in the One Africa event that we're having in Aswan, Egypt. So make sure if you do not have your HAPi Houston tickets, go to our website and get them. And also, while you are at hapifilm.com, I forgot that I didn't even say this. Make sure that you are that you have signed up for our newsletter. You can actually get a digital download or stream HAPi. You can get a DVD sent to your house. We have T-shirts, we have posters, we got everything at HAPiFilm. But make sure you sign up for the newsletter. That is how you stay connected. Okay, we do this newsletter every month. We're so excited. We have 5 articles that we cover. We do a health article, an economic innovator, somebody from the past who's laid our foundation for us right now. We do some financial one-on-one news. And we also always, give like a HAPi update. And then we support Black businesses by putting their information into our newsletter. So it's very important, you guys, make sure if you're not connected, that you get connected. And lastly, right here, the One Africa Returning to the Source Conference and Study Tour. Now, the study tour is happening. We're actually going to be leaving in 2 months. It feels like we were just saying this a little while ago when we had like 7 or 8 months. 2 months we're going to be in Africa. These are all the people that's going to be speaking. We are doing a commemorative book. Okay, in this book, everyone that attends the conference in Aswan, Egypt, will get a copy of this book. All right, and it'll have it's going to have everything in there. It's going to have everybody who's presenting, but it's also going to have their bio, and then they are all writing an abstract of their conversation that they're going to give at the conference. So it's very, very important, okay, that if you have a business or if you just want to take out an ad and put your face up in it, it doesn't matter. You need to be in this commemorative book. Send us an email, okay, at hapifilm@gmail. Everything is HAPiFilm. You can follow us on all social media platforms at HAPiFilm. You can email us at HAPiFilm at Gmail. Our Cash app right there is HAPiFilm. And I want to thank everyone who has been, giving us and sending us Cash app love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But if you are interested in getting your business in the book, please send us an email. We will send you out the sheet. You can see where you want to be. We have the inside of the cover. We have the back side. Like, we got some stuff going on. So if I were you, I would want to memorialize my business and put it in this book. It's going to be epic. The last time this many people went to Egypt, well, okay, so we're not bringing 1,000 people because that's, Professor Small, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Ben, they brought 1,000 people to Egypt. We're not bringing 1,000 people to Egypt, but we are bringing a significant amount of people there. And this event with all of these elders, let me just right there, it's not just, African Americans that are coming. We have Africans from all around the world coming to this event. You want to be a part of it. If you can't be there, but you want, the legacy that you are in the process of building or have built, you want to memorialize it in the commemorative book. So please make sure you guys just send us an email. We'll send you out the form, and we'll get this popping. Lastly, right there. Thank you so much, Red Tail. I couldn't even keep up with them because this conversation was so good. Both of these brothers are in HAPi. If you haven't seen HAPi, you need to go to hapifilm.com and make sure you, check out this movie. Before I go, I just want to give some shout outs, to everyone. Chirub Hollow. I hope I'm saying your name right, but you know who I'm speaking to right here. You're like, yep, I'm in right there. Michelle Jewell, again, peace. And thank you guys. Make sure you like this video and share it. Share the video with at least 3 people, okay? That way we can get the word out so people can get this book. And like I said, we want to make sure we are taking care of our elders. why they are here, so they can keep on fighting for us and keep on sharing their information. Professor Small has said like a couple little things of, getting hit by a shovel and having to run, but all those things, has made him live a certain life where, it's not popular to try to push your people forward. So we want to make sure we are showing gratitude and sending him, much love, much gratefulness, and definitely much love on the little Cash App for him. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out. And it's been, I want to say thank you to Joelle. That's Michelle. Michelle knows everybody up in here. Anna, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will be back next week. And just trying to find all my little stuff here. I tell you, there we go. So I want to thank everybody again for coming out. If you are not following us on social media, please, please, please make sure you go to hapifilm on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Twitter, and make sure that you're following us. And other than that, that's it. So even though Professor Small was like on and, he said it, I'm going to say it again because I love his closing. Peace and blessings.
I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?